Chapter 2890. Although my cultivation can be said to be invincible in the saint path and can fight with an imperial emperor, it's not that easy to kill an imperial emperor. My cultivation is still a little weak. Ling Xiao muttered to himself helplessly. Ling Xiao's cultivation had improved extremely quickly. In the eyes of others, he was a rare genius that only appeared once in a billion years. In a short 200 years, he had stepped from the saint realm to the celestial venerable realm. However, the challenges Ling Xiao encountered were getting greater and greater, and the enemies were getting stronger and stronger. As a result, he still felt that his cultivation was too weak. However, Ling Xiao also knew that his cultivation had improved very quickly. Moreover, breaking through from the celestial venerable realm to the imperial emperor realm was the difference between the saint realm and the emperor realm. It was no different from the difference between the mortal realm and the divine realm. In the myriad worlds, even if many geniuses could quickly break through to the celestial venerable realm, they would remain in the celestial venerable realm for many years to polish themselves and comprehend the origin of the great Tao before choosing to break through. Even Jiang Yuyang, who cultivated the human emperor's great Tao, had reincarnated 9 times before he attained the great Tao. Ling Xiao's current accumulation was still not enough. It was not so easy to break through to the imperial emperor realm in a short period of time. However, I've gained a lot from this battle. After observing Senior Jiang Yuyang's imperial emperor tribulation and fighting with many imperial emperors, I have a deeper understanding of my own Tao. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Although he was severely injured, he had gained a lot from this battle. After his injuries healed, his cultivation would definitely improve greatly. Ling Xiao took out the 5 pearls that Jiang Yuyang had given him. The 5 pearls floated in front of Ling Xiao, emitting different colors of light. They contained majestic and vast origin energy. Ling Xiao knew that this was a gift that Jiang Yuyang had deliberately given him. Although the 5 imperial emperors had been killed by Jiang Yuyang had only wiped away their true spirits. Their physical bodies and indestructible primordial spirits were preserved, leaving only the purest physical body and primordial spirit energy. To Ling Xiao, these 5 pearls were more precious than 8 or 10 origin pill rivers. They could help him heal. Ling Xiao circulated the heaven-devouring secret skill and began to refine the energy contained in the 5 pearls. Rumble! Blazing divine light bloomed around his body as the heaven-devouring divine world appeared. The vast and mighty origin energy fused into his body like a whale swallowing the sea. Ling Xiao's aura was also slowly strengthening. 3 days later, Ling Xiao came out of seclusion. His injuries had been completely healed. He had devoured all the energy of the 5 great imperial emperors, making his cultivation a little stronger. In particular, his comprehension of the origin of great Tao had also advanced by leaps and bounds. The 12 sky skills contained 12 supreme great Taos. They were also known as origin skills. Ling Xiao's attainments in the 12 sky skills grew deeper and deeper. The reason Ling Xiao came out of seclusion was because he sensed the auras of Jiang Yuyang and the Kunwu Mountain Emperor. Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain had returned from the outer space. Seniors, how was the battle? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He saw Jiang Yuyang and the Kunwu Mountain Sovereign Emperor at the summit of War Mountain. This is a great victory. I cooperated with Lord Kunwu to kill a peerless monarch of the devil race and severely injured the owner of the immortal slaying sword. Jiang Yuyang's eyes lit up as he said with a smile. You killed a peerless monarch of the devil race? Congratulations to the 2 seniors. Congratulations to the human race. Ling Xiao's heart trembled as he said solemnly. What was a peerless monarch? At the 9th level of the imperial monarch realm, one had stepped foot onto the supreme peak, and one was only a step away from becoming a supreme imperial monarch. The Kunwu Mountain Sovereign Emperor and Jiang Yuyang belonged to this category. It was extremely difficult to kill a peerless monarch at such a cultivation level. As long as a great emperor didn't appear, a peerless monarch was an invincible existence. Ling Xiao didn't expect Jiang Yuyang and the Kunwu Mountain Sovereign Emperor to have such a result. It was indeed worthy of celebration. There are pros and cons in this battle. Although it can make the foreign race restrain themselves and stop spying on the human race unscrupulously, it will also completely offend the immortal race. The immortal race is stronger than the devil race. What I didn't expect is that there are actually spies from the immortal race in the Chinese race and many immortal sacred grounds. The immortal race knows the human race very well, but we know nothing about the immortal race. The Kunwu Mountain Sovereign Emperor shook his head. Even with his peerless combat strength, he couldn't kill the owner of the immortal slaying sword. It could be seen how powerful the immortal race was, which made the Kunwu Mountain Sovereign Emperor a little worried. The immortal race? The immortal race is known as the first epic master. After 108 eras, their foundation is extremely deep and their strength is unfathomable. When I was in the demon realm, I once met a prince of the immortal race who wanted to plot against the demon realm. According to him, he already controlled dozens of great kiliocosms. Ling Xiao said slowly and told him about his encounter with the prince of the immortal race. When he mentioned the immortal race, Ling Xiao felt a little fearful. How powerful was the immortal race to be able to survive 108 eras without dying? Such a powerful race was actually hostile to the human race like the devil race. This was definitely not a good thing. The immortal race has always been secretive. We don't even know where the legendary immortal realm is. However, this time, when Lord Kunwu and I were chasing the owner of the immortal slaying sword, we finally found some clues and found the whereabouts of the immortal realm. Jiang Yuyang said slowly. That's right. The immortal realm is vast and boundless. It's not smaller than the God realm. In fact, it's even bigger. Ling Xiao, after discussing with Jiang Yuyang, we have a plan. However, I'm afraid only you can complete this plan. The Kunwu Mountain Sovereign Emperor looked at Ling Xiao and said, What plan? Ling Xiao asked curiously. We want you to make a trip to the immortal realm and investigate the situation there. The Kunwu Mountain Sovereign Emperor said slowly. Go to the immortal realm? A strange look appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. That's right. The immortal race's foundation is unfathomable and their strength is unparalleled. We know nothing about the immortal realm. If someone can enter the immortal realm and investigate the situation, the human race can prepare in advance. I've discussed with Lord Kunwu. It seems that only you can enter the immortal realm. You're the owner of the textless heavenly book. There's a heavenly immortal secret technique in the textless heavenly book. You can use the heavenly immortal secret technique and the textless heavenly book to change your aura and cultivation. You can turn yourself into a real immortal race member. This way, even the sovereign emperor won't be able to discover your true identity. Jiang Yuyang said slowly. That's right. You're indeed the most suitable person to enter the immortal realm. However, we won't force you. Think about it carefully. Moreover, the most important thing is that the Eternal Emperor Road is about to open. When the time comes, experts from all over the universe will step onto the Eternal Emperor Road to fight for the opportunity to become an emperor. If you enter the Eternal Emperor Road through the immortal realm, you may have a better chance of obtaining the opportunity to become an emperor. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain looked at Ling Xiao and said seriously. Chapter 2892. The Eternal Emperor Road? Ling Xiao thought to himself. The Eternal Emperor Road was a test for countless geniuses to fight for the opportunity to become an emperor. Legend has it that if one reached the end of the Eternal Emperor Road, they would be able to become an unparalleled emperor. If one obtained the Heavenly Tao's providence in the Heavenly Selection Convention and became the chosen one, they would have a chance to become an unparalleled emperor. However, that was only a hope. Only on the Eternal Emperor Road would one have the opportunity to become an emperor. The Eternal Emperor Road is a path that leads directly to the Unparalleled Emperor Road. It opens once every epoch, and every epoch, there will be someone who will step onto the Eternal Emperor Road to become an emperor. At the end of the last era, although the Heavenly Emperor did not become an emperor through the Eternal Emperor Road, the most mysterious of the 9 emperors of the human race, the Blue Lotus Great Emperor, reached the end of the Eternal Emperor Road. He was invincible throughout the heavens and finally became an emperor. Jiang Yuyang said slowly. Green Lotus Emperor? I've heard that Green Lotus Emperor was the only female emperor among the 9 emperors of the human race. She was peerless in her generation, and her combat strength was extraordinary. I didn't expect her to be on the Eternal Emperor Road. Ling Xiao exclaimed. The Eternal Emperor's Road was a bloody path that was incomparably cruel. Many imperial emperors and even the self-proclaimed geniuses of ancient times would step onto the Eternal Emperor's Road in pursuit of the only opportunity to become an emperor. The Eternal Emperor Road was much crueler than the Heavenly Selection Convention. It was a bloody path that was destined to be paved with corpses. The origin of the Eternal Emperor Road is unknown, but it has been said that it has existed since the first epoch. The Eternal Emperor Road should be related to the immortal race. If you enter the immortal realm, it will be very beneficial for you to investigate the situation of the Eternal Emperor Road in advance. The Kunwu Mountain Emperor nodded in agreement. Ling Xiao looked at Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Although they said they would let Ling Xiao choose, Ling Xiao understood that they still hoped Ling Xiao would make a trip to the immortal realm. After all, Ling Xiao was the best choice. However, entering the immortal realm would be extremely dangerous. If Ling Xiao's identity was exposed, he might really die in the immortal realm. After all, the immortal realm was very likely to be overseen by an unparalleled emperor. Seniors, if I enter the immortal world, what are your plans? Ling Xiao said slowly. Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain looked at each other before Jiang Yuyang said, Lord Kunwu and I have come to an agreement. This time, we have discovered the existence of the immortal realm. Next, we will think of a way to capture a member of the immortal clan. When the time comes, you will devour his body and primordial spirit and use his identity to enter the immortal realm. But once you're in the immortal world, you'll have to rely on yourself. Lord Kunwu and I will meet you outside the immortal world, but within the immortal world, it is beyond our reach. Ling Xiao was silent for a moment. Jiang Yuyang and the Kunwu Mountain Celestial Emperor didn't rush him either. They both understood that this was a very important decision. Good. I'm going to the celestial world. Ling Xiao raised his head, a sharp glint in his eyes. Ling Xiao agreed. As a member of the human race, he naturally did not wish for the human race to be enslaved and slaughtered by the immortals. If he could find out the truth about the immortals, the human race would be able to make preparations in advance. Most importantly, Ling Xiao's attention was drawn to the Eternal Emperor Road. Although Ling Xiao's cultivation was at the celestial venerable realm, he understood that the foundation he had accumulated before had been exhausted. Even with the 5 pearls that Jiang Yuyang had given him that contained the essence of the celestial emperor, Ling Xiao would still need at least 100 years or even a few hundred years to break through to the celestial emperor realm. But where would he find that much time? When the great calamity of the epic descended, heaven and earth would be overturned and the multiverse would collapse. No one would be spared. Ling Xiao had to gather enough strength before that happened to protect those he cared about the most. Ling Xiao looked into the distance. Shui Wei was holding Chang Xing's little hand and playing in the bamboo forest. Chang Xing's large, beautiful eyes were filled with a happy and pure smile, while Shui Wei's face was filled with indulgence. Her red dress was like fire, and a smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. She looked at Shui Wei and Chang Xing, her body shrouded in a layer of motherly radiance. Ling Xiao's gaze became much gentler. All of this was worth cherishing and protecting. It was worth it for him to do his best to obtain great strength. Just like how Jin Se had once waited for Ling Xiao in the Origin Sea for 10,000 years. Her black hair had turned white, and her red dress was like fire. She hadn't waited for Ling Xiao's return, not for immortality. Just like how Shui Wei had once sacrificed herself for Ling Xiao without hesitation. Although she'd died 9 times, she'd never regretted it. She'd only hoped that her young master would be happy. Now, Ling Xiao didn't want immortality either. He only wanted to protect their smiles. How could there be peace in this world? There were only people carrying the burden for us. And Ling Xiao was perfectly willing. Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain were also slightly surprised. They hadn't expected Ling Xiao to agree so easily. Ling Xiao, I was right about you. However, Your gains and opportunities on this trip to the immortal world will definitely exceed your imagination. This is a chance for you to transform. You once condensed the holy Tao tree with the 3,000 great Tao laws. Have you ever thought of breaking through to the Supreme Emperor realm with the 3,000 great Tao origins? The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain looked at Ling Xiao with a smile, his eyes full of praise. 3,000 great Tao origins? That's too difficult. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and shook his head. The reason why he was able to condense the holy Tao tree with the 3,000 great Tao laws was most importantly because of the 3,000 great Tao contained in the creation jade disc. Moreover, condensing the holy Tao tree only required a trace of understanding of the great Tao laws. However, the great Tao origin was the pinnacle of the Tao. It was a supreme power condensed from the great Tao cultivated to the extreme. It was also known as the extreme Tao power. This was the foundation of the Supreme Emperor realm. Only by comprehending the great Tao origin could one break through to the Supreme Emperor realm. Countless heavenly venerables might find it difficult to comprehend the great Tao origin in their entire lives. It was simply a fool's dream to break through to the Supreme Emperor realm with the 3,000 great Tao origins. Even though Ling Xiao was extremely confident, talented, and had the heavenly Tao's providence, he knew that it was impossible. It's indeed difficult, but it's not impossible. If you can prove your Tao with the 3,000 great Tao origins, you will become the most powerful Supreme Emperor since ancient times. Even the celestial emperors are inferior to you. And there's hope in the immortal world. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled slightly. Immortal world? Ling Xiao became more and more curious. He could feel that the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain valued the immortal world. There was hope in comprehending the 3,000 great Tao origins in the immortal world. In the immortal world, there's a forbidden place called the Myriad Tao Mountain. Legend has it that the 3,000 great Tao origins are branded there. Countless immortals in the immortal world will go to the Myriad Tao Mountain to comprehend the great Tao origins. You can give it a try when the time comes. Now you've already obtained the 12 sky techniques. The 12 sky techniques represent the 12 most powerful great Tao origins. If you can comprehend these 12 great Tao origins, you might have hope of reaching that step. Even if you don't succeed in the end, comprehending a few more great Tao origins before becoming a Supreme Emperor is also your foundation. It can allow you to erupt with even more powerful combat strength after breaking through to the Supreme Emperor realm. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said, Zhu Bai Hua. Chapter 2893. Thank you, Senior. I'll remember it. Ling Xiao nodded. He remembered the words Myriad Tao Mountain in his heart. Generally speaking, one could only become the weakest emperor after comprehending one type of great Tao origin. The more great Tao origins one comprehended, the stronger one would naturally be. Of course, Jiang Yuyang was an exception. Jiang Yuyang's human emperor's great Tao, including Myriad Tao, was connected to the human race's destiny. It was a supreme path that he had walked on himself. Therefore, after 9 reincarnations, Jiang Yuyang was able to break through to the Supreme Emperor realm in one go. Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain talked a lot. They were the pillars of the human race and naturally hoped that the human race could become stronger and stronger. They had many expectations for Ling Xiao. The plan to go to the celestial world this time could be said to be extremely daring. It was filled with countless opportunities, but it was also full of danger and death. But even so, Ling Xiao still agreed to such a crazy plan. Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain left. They set a date with Ling Xiao for a month. In this month, Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain would secretly capture a member of the celestial race and start their plan. Ling Xiao would also arrange the matters in the celestial world in this month. He could only go to the celestial world without any worries. When Ling Xiao told Jin Se and Shui Wei about this, although they were extremely worried, they tacitly agreed not to stop him. Brother Ling Xiao, the celestial world is probably more dangerous than the demon world. I just hope that you can return safely. Although Jin Se said with a smile, she could not hide the worry in her eyes. Young master, Sister Jin Se and I will wait for your return. Shuiwei also nodded repeatedly. Changxing was sitting on Ling Zhao's lap. She blinked her big clear eyes and her long eyelashes fluttered. She tilted her head and asked, "Daddy, are you going to beat up bad people again?" Ling Xiao smiled and patted Changxing's head dotingly. "That's right. Daddy is going to beat up bad people. However, before you leave, do you want to see your grandparents?" "Grandparents?" "Yes, Changxing wants to." Changxing's eyes instantly lit up. She had long heard about her grandparents from Jin Sei and Ling Xiao, but she had never seen them before. She was extremely curious, and at this moment, she suddenly became excited. Her big eyes sparkled and she looked very cute. "Jin Sei, Shuiwei, my parents are in the heaven prison realm, I will take you there. While I'm in the immortal world, you can stay with my parents in the heaven prison court. How about that?" Ling Xiao smiled at Jin Sei and Shuiwei. "Heaven prison world?" Jin Sei and Shuiwei looked at each other and saw the nervousness and shyness in each other's eyes. Was she really going to meet her parents? Jin Sei and Shuiwei had seen Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan before, but it was different this time. They understood the meaning behind Ling Zhao's words. He was officially bringing them home. Although Jin Sei and Shuiwei were powerful and were about to become the masters of the Supreme Doctrine Palace and the Samsara Temple, when they heard that Ling Xiao was going to take them to see Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan, they were still very nervous. "All right." Both Jin Sei and Shuiwei nodded shyly, their faces flushed red. Ling Xiao was going to set up a super portal in the War God Temple to connect the Heaven Prison Court and the Immortal World, so that the people of the War God Temple could enter the Heaven Prison Court in time. Although the Immortal World seemed to have quieted down because of Ling Zhao's battle, and many immortal sacred grounds and monarch clans were very obedient, Ling Xiao did not trust them, so he had to leave a backup plan. If the War God Temple was in any danger, they could hide in the Heaven Prison Court in time. The various immortal sacred grounds, sects, and families had sent all kinds of treasures and origin source elixirs to the War God Temple. The rewards from this battle had increased the resources of the War God Temple by thousands of times. When had the country bumpkins of the War God Temple ever seen so many treasures? Even Lu Bai was not calm. Ling Xiao even saw Lu Bai sitting cross-legged on the 36 origin source elixir rivers and laughing foolishly. That's right, the War God Temple now had 36 origin source elixir rivers. This did not include Ling Zhao's rewards. The complete copies of the 5 Elements Scripture of the 5 Elements Heaven Sect, the Heavenly Curse Scripture of the Heavenly Curse Sect, the Void Scripture of the Spacetime Heavenly Gate, and the Heavenly Capital Scripture of the Chinese, the complete copies of the 4 Supreme Emperor Scriptures had fallen into Ling Zhao's hands. Ling Xiao wanted to perfect his Tao by comprehending these 4 Supreme Emperor Scriptures. At the same time, he wanted to comprehend the origin of the Great Tao to accumulate strength for breaking through to the Imperial Emperor realm. Rumble. The void shook, and divine light shone brightly. A super teleportation gate slowly appeared in the War God Temple. This was the super teleportation gate that connected the War God Temple and the Heaven Prison Court. Ling Xiao had spent a lot of effort to set it up. Moreover, the teleportation conditions were extremely harsh. Every teleportation required a huge amount of origin source elixirs. This teleportation gate was the War God Temple's last resort. Unless it was absolutely necessary, it would not be opened. After Ling Xiao set up the super teleportation gate, he brought Jin Sei, Shuiwei, and Changxing back to the Heaven Prison Court. Rumble. When Ling Xiao appeared in the sky above the Heaven Prison Court, 3 powerful figures instantly sensed Ling Xiao's aura. They instantly came across the sky and bowed respectfully to Ling Xiao. "Greetings, Master." They were Hu Feng, Purple Thunder Prince, and Giant Axe. They were the people left behind by Ling Xiao in the Ling Xiao Celestial Court. They managed the entire Heaven Prison world for Ling Xiao, and their cultivation had already reached the peak Saint King realm. In the past 100 years, their cultivation had also improved by leaps and bounds. "Get up. This is my wife, Jin Sei, Shuiwei, and my daughter, Changxing." Ling Xiao stretched out his hand and lifted the 3 of them up. "Greetings, madam, young master." Hu Feng and the other 2 then bowed to Jin Sei, Shuiwei, and Changxing. They were also extremely shocked because they felt that Ling Zhao's cultivation had reached the heavenly lord realm. His aura was unfathomable, which made them even more respectful. In just 100 years, Ling Xiao had cultivated to such a level. No wonder he was the heavenly emperor Ling Xiao who was in charge of the heaven prison court. What shocked them even more was Jin Sei, Shui Wei, and Chang Sheng. Jin Sei and Shui Wei were both in the Saint King realm, and Chang Sheng, who looked like a child of a few years old, was in the Saint realm. What a monster! No wonder she was the master's daughter. The respect on their faces increased by a few notches. "Where are my parents now?" Ling Xiao asked. Hu Feng quickly suppressed the thoughts in his heart and replied respectfully, "Master, the old master and old madam are now guarding Miss Cece at the Path Understanding Tree. Miss Cece is undergoing the Saint Tribulation today." Saint Tribulation? Cece has also broken through to the Saint realm? Very good. Ling Zhao's eyes lit up as he smiled and nodded. Rumble. At this moment, a vast heavenly aura spread out in the distance, accompanied by blazing lightning. Zhu Baihua. Chapter 2894. It was Shui Wei's first time in the heavenly prison court. Although Jin Sei had been here once 200 years ago, it was completely different now. In the center of the heaven prison realm, which was in front of Ling Xiao and the others, was a vast heaven palace. Jade palaces, pavilions, terraces, and pavilions were everywhere, and auspicious vapors were everywhere. It was a magnificent sight. This was the Ling Xiao Celestial Court, the core of the entire heavenly prison court. In the heavenly palace, there was a towering tree that reached into the clouds. It exuded a vast and majestic aura of life. It was like a pillar that connected the heavens, ancient and mysterious. It was the tree of path understanding, the innate spiritual root that Ling Xiao brought from the god of war plane. The tree of path understanding was rooted in the ground. Its trunk was like a heavenly pillar, and its crown covered the sky. Its green leaves swayed with the breeze, making a crisp sound like wind chimes. At this moment, the vast heavenly might and lightning came from under the tree of path understanding. "Let's go!" Ling Xiao carried Chang Sheng and rushed towards the tree of path understanding with Jin Sei and Shui Wei. Rumble. The tree of path understanding towered into the clouds, shrouded in bright light. Auspicious qi rose from it, making it look peaceful and ethereal. But at this moment, there was a girl in green sitting under the tree of path understanding. She looked to be about 16 or 17 years old. Her skin was as white as jade, and her face was pretty. At this moment, she was surrounded by Saint Aura. She had broken through to the Saint realm. The lightning above the void intertwined, and there were bolts of lightning striking her body. The girl in green was Ling Cece, Ling Zhao's sister. Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan were standing not far away, watching Ling Cece's tribulation with great anticipation. How can my sister undergo such an ordinary divine tribulation? Let me give you something to add. The corner of Ling Zhao's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a smile. Boom! Ling Xiao pointed his finger in the air, and suddenly, the blazing lightning in the void exploded. Like a volcanic eruption, endless lightning rose and intertwined with each other, containing an aura that could destroy everything. At the same time, a vast heavenly punishment rose. Ling Cece's little face suddenly turned pale. She was originally full of confidence in crossing the divine tribulation. Who would have thought that the divine tribulation would suddenly become so violent? It made her feel an enormous pressure and a strong threat. Of course, she did not notice Ling Xiao, so she did not know why the divine tribulation would suddenly become like this. It's just a divine tribulation. What can it do to me? I, Ling Cece, am the younger sister of the Celestial Emperor. Get out of my way. Ling Cece said in a low voice, her eyes revealing a trace of stubbornness. Even though her face was pale, she still channeled all of her cultivation and pushed her palms forward. A 5 elements divine light appeared and turned into a 5 elements palm print that sealed the sky and the earth. It was extremely powerful. 5 elements heaven sealing style? It's a pity that I haven't mastered it yet. Ling Xiao chuckled to himself. Big brother Ling Xiao, If Cece finds out that you're scaring her like this, she'll definitely kick up a fuss. Jean Sei said helplessly. She didn't know where Ling Xiao got his wicked sense of humor from, scaring his own sister like that. Don't worry. I'm helping her. I'm making her divine tribulation stronger so that her path in the future will be wider. Ling Xiao said with a chuckle. Then he struck another palm in the air. Rumble. Ling Xiao cultivated the Lightning Emperor scripture and was in charge of heaven's punishment. When he struck, it was as if the Lightning Emperor himself had arrived, causing the divine tribulation to become extremely terrifying. In an instant, it shattered Ling Cece's 5-element seal. Then, like a bolt of lightning that penetrated the heavens and the earth, it instantly pierced through the void and shot directly into Ling Cece's body. Blazing lightning rose around Ling Cece's body, and in an instant, she was enveloped by endless lightning. Oh no! Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan could not help but change their expressions. Their eyes were filled with worry. Don't worry, father and mother. Cece will be fine. Ling Xiao said with a smile. His voice reached Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan's ears. Xiao Earth. Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan were shocked. They suddenly raised their heads and saw Ling Xiao, Jean Sei, Shui Wei, and Chang Sheng floating down from the void and appearing in front of them. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Ling Xiao was back. Ling Xiao had been gone for hundreds of years. 100 years ago, he left the heavenly prison court with Long Outyin and went to the demon realm. They did not expect Ling Xiao to be gone for so long. In the past 100 years, they had been very worried about Ling Xiao. They did not expect Ling Xiao to finally return. Father, mother, I am unfilial and have made you worry. Ling Xiao said with a smile. There was a warm current in his heart. This was the feeling of home. How nice. Hello, grandfather and grandmother. Chang Sheng looked timidly at Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan. She was extremely obedient and said in a childish voice. Grandfather and grandmother? Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan looked at each other. Suddenly, as if they had thought of something, their eyes were filled with surprise and inexplicable surprise. Father, mother, I forgot to introduce you. These two are Jean Sei and Shui Wei. You should have met them before. They are my wives. This little girl is Chang Sheng, the daughter of Jean Sei and I. Ling Xiao said quickly. Chang Sheng? Good girl, come and give grandmother a hug. Long Hanyan's heart almost melted at the sight of the adorable little Chang Sheng. She narrowed her eyes, which were filled with joy. Without any explanation, she snatched Chang Sheng from Ling Zhao's hands and held her in her arms with great care. Ling Zhen, who was extremely serious and reserved, was also at a loss at this moment. His eyes were filled with excitement and excitement. Once little Princess Chang Sheng appeared, Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan immediately forgot about Ling Zhao's existence. They even forgot about Ling Cece and placed all their attention on Chang Sheng. Boom! At this moment, the thunderbolts in the sky turned into a majestic thunder origin and merged into Ling Cece's body. Ling Cece's cultivation began to skyrocket in an instant. Ling Cece's aura rose and the lightning was dazzling. Her cultivation rose from the beginning stage of the Sage Realm to the peak stage of the Sage Realm in one breath. Although Ling Xiao was a little mischievous and scared Ling Cece, he still wanted to help Ling Cece improve her cultivation. Brother, you're back? Ling Cece also noticed Ling Xiao at this moment. She couldn't care less about stabilizing her aura. Her entire body was filled with blazing lightning. She was extremely excited and pounced on Ling Xiao like a skylark. Ling Xiao hugged Cece in his arms. His eyes were filled with love and emotion. He smiled and said, My Cece has become a big girl now. You're really getting more and more beautiful. Brother, I'm already a sage now. If anyone dares to bully you in the future, I'll help you teach them a lesson. Ling Cece said proudly. However, her gaze quickly fell on Chang Sheng. She asked curiously, Who's that cute little girl? Brother can't be your illegitimate daughter, right? How can you face sister-in-law Jean Sei like this? I despise you very much. However, this little girl really looks like you. She's also very cute. However, father and mother are really too much. They don't even care about me going through the divine tribulation. I'm very hurt. Ling Cici's words made Ling Zhao's forehead full of black lines. P.S. Third update. Everyone, rest early. What you missed yesterday will be made up for tomorrow. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2895. Ling Cici was indeed very hurt. It was indeed very dangerous when she first went through the divine tribulation. She didn't know why the divine tribulation would become so strong at the last moment. Until now, she still didn't know that it was Ling Zhao's doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have such a brother-sister relationship. Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan were carrying Chang Sheng at this moment. Their faces were full of smiles, and they had completely forgotten about their daughter. Don't talk nonsense. Her name is Chang Sheng. She's the daughter of Jin Sei and I. Ling Xiao glared at Ling Cici and said, "But, so she's sister-in-law Jin Sei's daughter. No wonder she's so cute and beautiful. When she grows up, she'll definitely be as beautiful as sister-in-law Jin Sei." Ling Cici also saw Jin Sei and Shui Wei beside Ling Xiao. She immediately rolled her eyes and said in surprise. At the same time, she walked up obediently and greeted Jin Sei and Shui Wei. This mischievous girl had a strong desire to live. However, Jin Sei and Shui Wei covered their mouths and chuckled. Obviously, they didn't care. Moreover, because of Ling Cici's mischievous and sweet mouth, they had a good impression of her. The family was reunited and happy. Although Chang Sheng was a little shy, she was very obedient. Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan were all smiles when she called them grandpa and grandma. They treated Chang Sheng as their precious baby and couldn't dote on her enough. "Chang Sheng, call me aunt." Ling Cici ran in front of Chang Sheng and said with a smile, "Hello, aunt." Chang Sheng said obediently, "Good girl. Aunt will bring you out to play, okay?" Ling Cici said with a smile, "Okay, okay." Chang Sheng clapped her hands excitedly. She was very curious about the world. Although she had the innate chaotic body and her cultivation was strong, she was no different from an ordinary child. She was pure and cute. Chang Sheng had been bored staying in the War God Temple previously. Now that she had such a fun aunt, Chang Sheng's curiosity was immediately aroused. Ling Cici waved her hand. Immediately, a 9-headed lion with purple light and lightning circled around it appeared in the void. A primordial variant, 9-headed purple lightning lion. This was the mount that Ling Xiao once caught. Later, he gave it to Ling Cici. Now, the bloodline of the 9-headed purple lightning lion had been completely stimulated. It grew 9 heads, and its cultivation had also advanced by leaps and bounds, reaching the great sage realm. "Master, where are we going to play this time? I'm suffocating. How about we go to the East Sea and kill that shark?" Last time, it even spoke rudely to Master. The moment the 9-headed purple lightning lion appeared, it shook its huge lion head and spoke in high spirits. However, before it could finish speaking, it caught sight of Ling Xiao from the corner of its eyes. The 9 purple lightning lions were so scared that they wet their pants. "Purple lightning lion? Not bad, not bad. I didn't expect you to have broken through to the great sage realm." Ling Xiao said with a smile. "Old master, you're finally back. Your natural talent is exceptional, sweeping through the heavens. You are the son of heaven of this epoch, and you will definitely attain the position of an unmatched emperor in the future. I congratulate the old master." The 9-headed purple lightning lion swallowed its saliva and immediately revealed an incomparably flattering expression as it spoke. "Little 9, you are now my mount. Why are you flattering my brothers so much? Do you still have any dignity as a primordial species?" Ling Cici said with some dissatisfaction. Hee, master, the old master's talent is superb. In the future he will become Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao. You will be his sister. Who in this world will dare to offend you? Little 9 only worships the future Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao because I feel honored." The 9-headed purple lightning lion chuckled, revealing a simple and honest smile. "Purple lightning lion, we haven't seen each other for more than 200 years. Not only has your cultivation improved by leaps and bounds, your eloquence has also improved. However, protect Cici well in the future, okay?" If anything happens to her, I will chop off your 9 heads. Ling Xiao looked at the 9-headed purple lightning lion with a smile that was not a smile. Old master, don't worry. Whoever dares to harm Miss Cici will have to step over my dead body first. The 9-headed purple lightning lion immediately expressed its loyalty and spoke righteously. Your cultivation is still a little lacking. Ling Xiao shook his head. Not to mention a mere great sage, even a sage ruler was not worthy of his attention now. Ling Xiao flicked his finger slightly, and immediately, a ball of purple lightning that contained a vast amount of thunder origin instantly merged into the 9-headed purple lightning lion's body. The 9-headed purple lightning lion was stunned for a moment. Then, it was overjoyed and hurriedly bowed to Ling Xiao. Thank you, old master. That ball of thunder origin contained a vast amount of great Tao energy. If the 9-headed purple lightning lion completely refined it, it would have a chance to directly break through to the sage ruler realm. This was the opportunity and fortune that Ling Xiao had bestowed upon it. Go! Ling Xiao waved his hand and said, Hee, thank you, brother. Cici made a funny face and giggled as she pulled Changxing's little hand. She could not wait to jump onto the back of the 9-headed purple lightning lion. The 9-headed purple lightning lion flashed a flattering smile at Ling Xiao. Then, lightning flashed around its body, and wind and thunder surged. It let out a low roar, and its entire body exuded a wild and ancient aura. Like a purple lightning bolt, it instantly flew into the distance. Seeing that Cici and Changxing were so harmonious, Ling Xiao was also slightly relieved. Next, his old friends from the Changxing sect also came. They were on the Changxing mountain at the side of the Ling Xiao celestial court. When they saw Ling Xiao and Jin Sei, they all greeted them as Patriarch Devouring Heaven and Patriarch Changxing. The Changxing sect was also thriving now. There were many experts in the sect, and their cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. And in the central area of the Ling Xiao celestial court, there was a 10,000-foot tall statue of Ling Xiao. That was the image of Ling Xiao pointing one hand to the sky and the other to the ground. It looked like he was the sole ruler of the world. It was lifelike and majestic. The statue became clearer and clearer. It looked almost exactly the same as Ling Xiao. Auspicious vapors rose around it, and the mysterious power of faith lingered around it. It exuded a bright golden glow. Ling Xiao could feel that the power of faith of the billions of beings in the heavenly prison court was endlessly converging and merging into the statue. After the reports from Hu Feng, Purple Lightning, and Giant Axe, Ling Xiao had a clear understanding of the current heavenly prison court. Today, among the trillions of beings in the heavenly prison court, countless experts had emerged. Just those who stayed in the Ling Xiao celestial court alone were tens of thousands of Saint King experts. And Ling Xiao led the army to conquer the boundless worlds around the heavenly prison court. He spread his faith, gathered experts, and became the overlord of this region. Everything was developing in a good direction. Ling Xiao also believed that once the power of the heavenly prison court was completely exposed in front of everyone, it would shake the heavens. This was also one of Ling Xiao's trump cards to compete for the heavens. Chapter 2896. In the Ling Xiao Imperial Court. Ling Xiao was cultivating in seclusion in a secret chamber. After making a 1-month agreement with Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain, Ling Xiao did not relax after meeting his old friends in the heavenly purgatory court. He quickly entered seclusion. In Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, his primordial spirit emitted a mysterious light, like a divine king sitting cross-legged in the void, exuding an eternal and immortal wave. In front of his primordial spirit, there were 5 golden scriptures floating. They were enshrouded in a mysterious emperor's aura and contained the vast truth of heaven and earth. 5 elements scripture, light and darkness scripture, nirvana scripture, heavenly capital scripture, void scripture. These were the 5 flawless emperor scriptures. After Ling Xiao defeated the 5 elements celestial sect, the darkness heavenly sect, the spacetime heavenly sect, the Chinese, and the Nirvana shrine, he had obtained the 5 flawless emperor scriptures. Of course, there was also the lightning emperor scripture that Ling Xiao had already refined. These flawless emperor's scriptures were the foundation of an immortal sanctuary. They were supreme techniques that protected the sect's fate. Only the master of the sanctuary and the saint could cultivate them. Now, they had all fallen into Ling Zhao's hands. Although they were only copies and not the original emperor's scriptures, they still contain the emperor's true meaning. If Ling Zhao could comprehend them, he would be able to comprehend the origin of the Great Path. Rumble. The 5 emperor's scriptures slowly merged into Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness and he began to comprehend them. These 5 emperor's scriptures are inextricably linked to the 5 elements secret skill, the light and darkness secret skill, the nirvana secret skill, and the space-time secret skill. Together with the 12 sky skills secret skill, these 5 emperor's scriptures will be quickly comprehended by me. I might even be able to comprehend the origin of the Great Path. Ling Zhao thought to himself. These 5 flawless emperor's scriptures were the life's work of the great emperors. Ling Zhao would not be able to comprehend them in a short period of time. He could only temporarily merge them into his primordial spirit and slowly comprehend them in the future. Moreover, Ling Zhao also discovered the mysterious connection between these emperor's scriptures and the secret skills recorded in the wordless heavenly book. Although those imperial scriptures all walked their own paths, they were incomparably close to the 12 heaven arts secret skills. It was as if they were supreme techniques created with the 12 heaven arts secret skills as the foundation. The wordless heavenly book was a primordial treasure of chaos. It was extremely ancient and could be traced back to ancient times. The 108 secret skills of Tiangang and Disha contained the truth of heaven and earth. It was understandable that the great emperors of ancient times used it as a reference to create the supreme imperial scripture. Ling Zhao was extremely familiar with the 12 heavenly arts secret techniques. Using them as a foundation to comprehend the 5 great imperial scriptures, he was naturally able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. A month was not a long time, but it was enough for Ling Zhao to comprehend the 5 imperial sutras. After Ling Zhao's cultivation broke through to Empyrean realm, his cultivation speed clearly dropped. This time, if he hadn't protected Jiang Yuyang, it would still be very difficult for Ling Zhao's cultivation to improve. Jiang Yuyang had killed 5 great imperial emperors and kept their primordial spirits and flesh essence, condensing them into origin pearls and giving them to Ling Zhao. As for the Chinese imperial emperor, Ling Zhao handed him over to the emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Although the emperor of Kunwu Mountain didn't say it explicitly, Ling Zhao knew that the Chinese imperial emperor would probably be placed in the extraterritorial battlefield by the emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Not only would his life be in the hands of the emperor of Kunwu Mountain, but he would also be unable to return to the divine world for the rest of his life. A month passed very quickly. After Ling Zhao came out of seclusion, he returned to the combat god hall and saw Jiang Yuyang and the emperor of Kunwu Mountain waiting for him. Bang! Jiang Yuyang threw a handsome young man in a purple Taoist robe in front of Ling Zhao. Is he from the celestial tribe? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he looked at the young man in the purple robe curiously. The young man in the purple robe had already fainted, but his body was crystal clear and exuded an ethereal and otherworldly aura. It was very similar to the aura of the celestial tribe's royal highness that Ling Zhao had seen before. His cultivation level was at the peerless Saint King realm. That's right. He was from the celestial tribe, and his name was Lei Ling. He was a rogue cultivator in the celestial realm and cultivated the thunder attribute celestial skill, 9 levels purple cloud art. Lord Kunwu and I have been waiting outside the celestial realm for a long time before we chose Lei Ling to be your substitute. Jiang Yuyang smiled faintly and introduced Lei Ling's identity once through. Lei Ling was only at the Supreme King realm, so he couldn't resist Jiang Yuyang's soul search. Jiang Yuyang could see everything in his primordial spirit clearly. His identity as a rogue cultivator meant that he didn't have a powerful celestial sect behind him. By disguising himself as a rogue cultivator, Ling Zhao could minimize the possibility of his identity being exposed. Speaking of which, it's a coincidence. In the past, the celestial realm was hidden in the chaos and was completely sealed, so no one could pass through. However, after the Chosen One meeting, the celestial realm was unsealed, and recently, experts at the Supreme King realm and above were allowed to leave the celestial realm to explore the universe. Therefore, this is our opportunity. Otherwise, you won't be able to sneak into the celestial realm. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain explained. Is the celestial realm so careless? Aren't they afraid of spies from other alien races sneaking into the celestial realm? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Sneak into the celestial realm? Unless you're from the celestial realm or have the permission of the celestial realm, you can only enter the celestial realm. Otherwise, you'll be killed by the myriad immortal array and the longevity tower, dying without a burial place. Even an emperor would die without a doubt. Jiang Yuyang sighed softly. The myriad immortal array was a supreme imperial array that enveloped the entire celestial realm. According to legend, it was jointly set up by several great emperors of the celestial realm. Moreover, it had been painstakingly set up by countless experts. In addition, the longevity tower was the core of the array. Even a supreme emperor wouldn't dare to barge in, let alone an emperor. The myriad immortal array? The longevity tower, a chaos treasure? Ling Xiao was secretly shocked. According to legend, there were 10 chaos treasures at the beginning of the world. However, after numerous wars and countless great calamities, many of the chaos treasures were severely damaged and even lost. For example, the wordless heavenly book and the fortune jade disc were damaged chaos treasures. It was very difficult to complete them. The longevity tower, on the other hand, was a flawless chaos treasure. Chaos treasures were treasures of heaven and earth, nurtured by fortune. They contained a mighty power capable of splitting open the heavens. Even an apex emperor armament would pale in comparison to a chaos treasure. With the longevity tower guarding the celestial realm was absolutely safe. Seniors, with the longevity tower guarding the myriad immortal array, even if I were to disguise myself as Lei Ling, it would be difficult for me to go unnoticed, right? Ling Xiao said slowly. A flawless longevity tower meant that it had an artifact spirit, comparable to a supreme emperor, capable of seeing through everything. Ling Xiao was confident that he could fool an imperial emperor. However, it would be difficult to fool a supreme emperor. P.S. I'm sorry, I'll continue writing tomorrow. End of chapter. Chapter 2897. If others disguised themselves as immortals, they would be discovered by the longevity tower before they could even reach the immortal realm. However, you are different because you have the wordless heavenly book. Together with the heavenly immortal secret technique, you can condense the immortal root in your body. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said slowly. Immortal root? Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. That's right. Check Lei Ling carefully. See if there is any difference between this immortal's body and ours. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain nodded. Ling Xiao walked forward. His eyes were shining brightly with yin and yang qi. He used the delusion breaker god's eye and immediately saw Lei Ling clearly. Lei Ling's entire body was covered with immortal flesh and jade bones. His body exuded a kind of immortal power. His body structure did not seem much different from that of a human's, but his body naturally emitted a bright, immortal light, ethereal and otherworldly. In the end, Ling Xiao discovered two different areas. In Lei Ling's dantian, there was a strange meridian that emitted a bright, immortal light. It went from the dantian to the shanzhong acupoint on his chest and then to the sea of consciousness between his eyebrows. It went through the three most important acupoints in his body. These three acupoints were known as the lower dantian, middle dantian, and upper dantian. That meridian was extremely strange and emitted a bright light. It was as if the source of the immortal light in Lei Ling's body came from this meridian. At the same time, Lei Ling's primordial spirit also emitted an immortal light. The immortal light was bright and mysterious, as if it was sitting in the chaotic void, immortal and indestructible. Could this meridian be the immortal root that you mentioned? Ling Xiao asked curiously. That's right. The Kunwu Mountain Emperor nodded and said, the most fundamental difference between the immortal race and the human race is the immortal root. Legend has it that the human race evolved from the ancient gods and devils, which is the god race in the first era. The immortal tribe is just the servant of the immortal tribe. Therefore, be it the immortal tribe, the demon tribe, or the extraterritorial tribe, once they transform, almost all of them will take human form. Their body structure is very similar. The immortal tribe is different from humans because they have the immortal root in their bodies, allowing them to step into the immortal Tao. The reason the present immortal plane had sealed itself away from the myriad worlds was because the immortal plane had gathered an endless amount of ageless matter. The immortal race did not want the ageless matter to flow into the other worlds. Thus, they used the longevity tower to suppress it and set up the grand array of myriad immortals. And the immortal substance was the foundation of their immortal roots. Using the immortal substance to form an immortal root allowed the immortal race to become a generation with supreme talent. The more immortal substance in the immortal root, the stronger the talent of the immortal race. However, the immortal root was incomparably mysterious. If others wanted to forcefully extract the immortal root, they would only be able to obtain some immortal matter to fuse into their own body, but they would not be able to form the immortal root. Once an immortal died, their immortal roots would also crumble. Just like the immortal emperor that Jiang Yuyang had killed before, his immortal roots had already crumbled, leaving behind only a portion of immortal matter. Maybe the great emperor can forcefully extract the immortal root, but there is no need for them to do so. However, you have the wordless heavenly book and heavenly immortal secret technique. The wordless heavenly book has a long history and is somewhat related to the immortal tribe. You can use the wordless heavenly book to extract the immortal root and integrate it into your body. As long as you have the immortal root, you will be a member of the immortal tribe, and the longevity tower will not be able to find you. The emperor of Kunwu Mountain explained the immortal root in the immortal tribe's body, and Ling Xiao finally understood. Legend has it that when the heavens and earth were first created and the myriad worlds had not yet appeared, there was only a complete primitive continent. At that time, as long as one broke through to the divine spirit realm, one would be able to live forever. But now, even sage kings and emperors have limited lifespans, and even great emperors are in danger of dying. Could it be because the immortal material was intercepted by the immortal tribe? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. Ever since the myriad worlds split and the primitive continent shattered, the heavenly Tao was also heavily damaged. The immortal material that evolved since the heavens were created has been decreasing. Coupled with the intercepting by the immortal tribe, the immortal material in the myriad worlds is pitifully low. Every great tribulation is a process of the immortal material collapsing. Now, the sages still have tens of millions of years of lifespan, but after another great tribulation, the sages and emperors might only have a lifespan of 10,000 years. Even great emperors will die because of time. That will be the true age of chaos. Jiang Yuyang sighed softly. Divine light flickered in his eyes as if he could see through the void and see the various scenes of the future. Even great emperors will die. Age of chaos? That will be a terrifying scene. Ling Xiao also sighed softly in his heart. As his cultivation gradually increased, he also understood the importance of the immortal material. The great emperors were said to be immortal because they could seal the immortal material in their bodies and even replenish it. That was why they could have such a long lifespan. However, if the Great Tribulation were to descend, the myriad worlds would collapse and the immortal material would rapidly decrease or even turn into nothingness. Under that kind of Great Tribulation, even great emperors would be in danger of dying. So, do you understand? As long as you can use the wordless heavenly book and heavenly immortal secret technique to extract the immortal root in Lei Ling's body and integrate it into your body, then you can devour his primordial spirit. You can replace him and become Lei Ling to enter the immortal realm. The emperor of Kunwu Mountain looked at Ling Xiao and said, "All right, I understand. Seniors, are you sure this Lei Ling is reliable? He didn't defend any big shots in the immortal realm, right? I don't want to be targeted by a big shot the moment I enter the immortal realm." Ling Xiao coughed dryly and said to Jiang Yuyang and the emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Jiang Yuyang and the emperor of Kunwu Mountain looked at each other with a strange look in their eyes. However, in the end, Jiang Yuyang nodded and said, "Don't worry. Lei Ling is an itinerant cultivator. He didn't offend any big shots. On the contrary, he has a lot of support. When I searched his soul just now, I only checked his shallow memories. I didn't check his deep memories for fear of damaging his primordial spirit. When you devour his primordial spirit and integrate all his memories, everything will be clear. At that time, you will be the real Lei Ling." "Alright." Ling Xiao nodded, but there was a trace of suspicion in his eyes. He had a feeling that Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain were hiding something from him. However, Ling Xiao trusted the two of them very much. They also treated Ling Xiao like a nephew, so Ling Xiao didn't suspect anything. "In that case, I'll give it a try and see if I can extract Lei Ling's immortal root." Ling Xiao's gaze fell on Lei Ling. The space between his eyebrows shone brightly. In an instant, the wordless heavenly book shone brightly in his sea of consciousness. A mysterious immortal light burst out from Ling Xiao's body. Chapter 2898. Rumble. Ling Xiao used the celestial immortal's secret technique. Immortal light emanated from his body, enveloping Lei Ling. The celestial immortal's secret technique was the original secret technique of the immortals. It contained the profundities of immortal energy and was ranked 18th among the 108 celestial immortal secret techniques. Although Ling Xiao had manifested the celestial immortal secret technique after devouring the 9-colored immortal lotus fire during his battle with the immortal highness, his understanding of the celestial immortal secret technique was only superficial. Ling Xiao used the celestial devouring secret technique, the wordless heavenly book, and his delusion breaker God's eye. He immediately saw that the resplendent immortal light in Lei Ling's body was made up of extremely tiny particles. They seemed to be arranged in a strange way and gathered into a vast immortal light. Those tiny particles were like some kind of password. Could this be the true profundities of the immortal's origin? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat as he investigated more carefully. As he used the celestial immortal secret technique, the saint force in Ling Xiao's body slowly transformed into immortal energy and surged into Lei Ling's body. Rumble. The wordless heavenly book emitted a 9-colored glow that enveloped both Ling Xiao and Lei Ling vaguely. There seemed to be a mysterious resonance between Ling Xiao and Lei Ling. It was the resonance of their magnetic fields, as well as the resonance of their life origin. Ling Xiao wanted to disguise himself as Lei Ling. Other than his external appearance and cultivation method, the most important thing was naturally his immortal root, as well as their life aura and fate imprints. Only when all of these were the same could Ling Xiao be the real Lei Ling. Ling Xiao was in no hurry to forcibly extract Lei Ling's immortal root. Instead, he used the celestial immortal secret technique as a bridge and borrowed the power of the wordless heavenly book to adjust his life aura and fate fluctuations, gradually forming a resonance with Lei Ling. It seems that Ling Xiao can really disguise himself as Lei Ling. Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's eyes lit up when they sensed Ling Xiao's aura. They were originally full of confidence in Ling Xiao. Now that Ling Xiao and Lei Ling's aura were similar and even the fluctuations of their fate fluctuations were the same, they were even more confident. Ling Xiao and Lei Ling sat cross-legged facing each other at the peak of War Mountain. Resplendent immortal light enveloped them both. The wordless heavenly book floated in the air, emitting a mysterious 9-colored glow. Ling Xiao was very patient. This state of resonance lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. 3 days later, when Ling Xiao's life force and birth chart imprint had become exactly the same as Lei Ling's, Ling Xiao suddenly opened his eyes and slammed his palm into Lei Ling's dantian. Rumble. Lei Ling's body shook violently. His dantian was instantly shattered. Ling Xiao's palm was surrounded by mysterious immortal light. He directly reached into Lei Ling's dantian and grabbed Lei Ling's immortal root. Lei Ling's immortal root was pink in color. It looked like a divine dragon coiling in the chaos, mysterious and unfathomable. Feeling Ling Xiao grabbing his immortal root, Lei Ling's entire body trembled. Even though he was unconscious, he instinctively wanted to retaliate. However, The aura of the wordless heavenly book quickly integrated into Lei Ling's body. Like a mysterious net, it wrapped around Lei Ling's immortal root and directly extracted it. Ling Xiao could feel a dense immortal substance from the immortal root, causing his flesh to thirst for it, wanting to devour the immortal substance. Ling Xiao did not hesitate at all. He directly integrated the immortal root into his body. It quickly entered his dantian, penetrated his middle dantian, and integrated into his sea of consciousness between his eyebrows. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body shook violently. Resplendent immortal light bloomed. After the immortal root integrated into Ling Xiao's body, his entire body trembled violently. Dense cracks like a spiderweb even appeared on his body. It was as if he would shatter at any time. This was a mutation caused by a human forcibly integrating an immortal root. If it was another person, their physical body would have exploded instantly and their soul would have been scattered. However, Ling Xiao was still bitterly holding on. With the protection of the wordless heavenly book, his physical body could quickly adapt to the immortal root's existence. He did not directly collapse. This kid really did it. Let's bleed a little too. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's eyes also showed a hint of amazement. He chuckled softly. Then, mysterious immortal substance condensed in the palm of his hand. In an instant, it turned into a ball of light and was directly injected into Ling Xiao's body. With Ling Xiao, our plan will definitely succeed. Jiang Yuyang was also a little excited. Without any hesitation, he condensed a ball of immortal substance and integrated it into Ling Xiao's body. Rumble. After these two balls of immortal substance integrated into his body, Ling Xiao's body trembled instantly. His physical body seemed to have been integrated with a great tonic. The originally violent immortal root quickly calmed down. A ball of immortal substance was absorbed by Ling Xiao's physical body. His physical body quickly recovered to its original state, and a resplendent immortal light bloomed. A ball of immortal substance integrated into the immortal root, causing the immortal root to become even more radiant. It was like a divine dragon hibernating in Ling Xiao's body. At the same time, Ling Xiao did not hesitate. When he saw the immortal root gradually calming down, he directly used the heaven-devouring secret skill to suck out Lei Ling's primordial spirit. He integrated it into his own sea of consciousness and began to devour it crazily. Who are you? Spare me. At this critical moment of life and death, Lei Ling still woke up. He was extremely frightened and felt that his life and primordial spirit were constantly slipping away. Immediately, he opened his mouth to beg for mercy. Is this Lei Ling so spineless? Begging for mercy the moment he opens his mouth? Ling Xiao was slightly stunned, but without any hesitation, he continued to devour Lei Ling's primordial spirit. Lei Ling's begging stopped abruptly, and his primordial spirit was completely devoured by Ling Xiao. Rumble. The memories in Lei Ling's primordial spirit were like a torrent, integrated into Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, and were absorbed and digested by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao seemed to have become Lei Ling. From the moment Lei Ling was born, he experienced Lei Ling's life of joy, anger, sorrow, and joy. He experienced Lei Ling's magnificent and incomparably sullen life. It was almost the same as what Jiang Yang had said. Lei Ling was indeed a rogue cultivator who cultivated the 9 levels of the Purple Cloud skill. He had once received the inheritance of an expert from the immortal tribe by chance. Although he had stumbled all the way until now, he had made a name for himself in the immortal realm. Lei Ling was dead. His physical body was shattered, his primordial spirit was devoured by Ling Xiao, and his immortal root was integrated into Ling Xiao's body. He was completely erased from this world. However, Lei Ling was still alive, because Ling Xiao had become Lei Ling. From today onwards, Ling Xiao was the real Lei Ling, the Lei Ling of the immortal tribe. However, after integrating all of Lei Ling's memories, Ling Xiao's head instantly buzzed and exploded. Seniors, you tricked me? Ling Xiao said in a flustered and exasperated tone. There was even some grievance and helplessness in his voice. Chapter 2899. Ling Xiao felt as if he had fallen into a huge pit that was dug by Jiang Yuyang and the emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Let's look back at Lei Ling's magnificent life. Lei Ling, male, a rogue cultivator, orphaned by the death of both his parents. He grew up in a small mountain village. Later on, he accidentally stepped into the immortal world and obtained countless fortuitous encounters and opportunities. He gradually grew into a powerful expert in the immortal world. Lei Ling was also known as the Purple Firmament Immortal King. However, in the immortal world, immortal kings were only considered as powerful experts. Immortal primes were the overlords, and immortal monarchs were the invincible experts who suppressed the immortal sex. Therefore, although Lei Ling was the Purple Firmament Immortal King, he was only a rogue cultivator and was considered unremarkable in the immortal world. At first glance, Lei Ling was indeed a very good disguise target. His cultivation was not too high and was not conspicuous. He was not from the emperor clans and powerful immortal sects in the immortal world, which allowed Ling Xiao to sneak into the immortal world safely. However, this was only the surface of Lei Ling. After Ling Xiao merged all of Lei Ling's memories, he realized that although Lei Ling was only a rogue cultivator, he was more conspicuous than those people from the immortal sects in the immortal world. He even had the title of the romantic immortal king. Lei Ling had managed to seduce more than 100 women in the celestial realm with his handsome and dashing looks and his glib tongue. Most importantly, almost all of those women were married and were the Tao companions of various experts. There were the wives of immortal sects' sect masters, the wives of emperor clans' elders, and the wives of heretical sects' sect masters. Ling Xiao was dazzled. It was an eye-opener. However, Lei Ling had seduced so many people, and none of them knew of each other's existence. They were all dead set on Lei Ling. Ling Xiao broke out in cold sweat for Lei Ling. This guy was simply audacious. He was walking on the edge of a cliff. The slightest carelessness would result in eternal damnation. Those experts were at least immortal kings, immortal primes, and even immortal monarchs. Lei Ling was so audacious that he was simply unrestrained. Ling Xiao could only admit that he was not as capable as Lei Ling. However, Lei Ling was indeed very smart. He only hooked up with married women and loved other people's wives. He never hooked up with those saintesses, proud daughters of heaven, and other virgins. This also ensured that he would not be exposed to the greatest extent. Moreover, relying on the resources provided by the companions of those experts, Lei Ling had broken through to the immortal king realm within a short span of 1,000 years. Hence, he was known as a genius in the immortal realm. Just the thought of becoming Lei Ling and having to face hundreds of beautiful wives and concubines made Ling Xiao's scalp go numb. Most importantly, Lei Ling had been forced to leave the immortal realm this time. As the saying goes, if you often walk by the river, how can your shoes not get wet? Lei Ling had seduced the daughter of the Cthulhuism Society's leader and made her fall head over heels for him. She had even stolen the Cthulhuism Society's supreme divine technique for him to cultivate. At the same time, Lei Ling's lust had reached the heavens, and he had also seduced the wife of the Cthulhuism Society's leader. The wife of the Cthulhuism Society's supreme divine pill had been given to Lei Ling to increase his cultivation. Being a two-timer, Lei Ling's heart was filled with glee. He did not know that he had already gotten himself into trouble. Coincidentally, the daughter and wife of the Cthulhuism Society's leader met each other. Then, Lei Ling's lies were naturally exposed. Lei Ling was naturally scared out of his wits. The Cthulhuism Society was one of the top forces in the immortal realm, and they could compete with the supreme immortal sects. The leader of the Cthulhuism Society was a supreme expert in the immortal realm. Lei Ling had slept with his wife and daughter at the same time. However, the leader of the Cthulhuism Society did not know. Although the daughter and wife of the Cthulhuism Society's leader hated Lei Ling to the core, they only found an excuse to send experts to kill Lei Ling. They did not conduct a large-scale search. Lei Ling felt that the immortal realm was not safe, so he fled the immortal realm in fear. However, he was targeted by Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. They followed him and captured him in the immortal realm. Now, he had died in the hands of Ling Xiao. Even his immortal root was taken away by Ling Xiao, and his primordial spirit was devoured by Ling Xiao. The romantic immortal king of a generation, Zi Xiao immortal king, had died silently just like that, ending his legendary life. However, the key was that Ling Xiao had inherited Lei Ling's identity. How was he going to return to the immortal realm? Once he returned to the immortal realm, he would have to face the Cthulhuism Society's inescapable net. Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain had obviously searched Lei Ling's soul and knew about these things. However, they did not tell Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was very angry now. When he thought about entering the immortal realm and having to face all the messy things that Lei Ling had left behind, Ling Xiao felt a headache coming on. Cough cough. Ling Xiao, we really did not know about this. We only knew that Lei Ling had seduced many women, but we did not know that he was in such a situation now. Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain were a little embarrassed. Jiang Yuyang smiled bitterly. We were lying in ambush outside the immortal realm. However, the experts who came out of the immortal realm were all experts from the various immortal sects. If we were to capture them rashly, the immortal sects would definitely know. Lei Ling was the only one who was a rogue cultivator. We did not expect him to cause so much trouble. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said with a bitter smile. They did not lie to Ling Xiao about this. When Jiang Yuyang searched Lei Ling's soul, he only checked his shallow memories and did not check Lei Ling's deep memories. He did not know about Lei Ling's dirty deeds. After listening to Ling Xiao's story, the two of them were dumbfounded. They felt that Lei Ling was a street rat who had left the immortal realm because he could no longer survive in it. Ling Xiao, this matter is not completely unsolvable. Moreover, it will be beneficial for you. From what I know, the immortal realm is not a peaceful place. There are 9 immortal sects and various emperor clans in the immortal realm. However, there are also a few evil sects that compete with the immortal sects. These evil sects are called the Cthulhuism sect and are called heretics in the immortal realm. In actual fact, they are the descendants of the divine clan. If you can sneak into the Cthulhuism sect, you might gain a lot. Of course, this is our miscalculation. We did not expect Lei Ling to offend 2 big shots from the Cthulhuism sect at the same time. We do not wish for you to be in danger, so you can choose to give up on going to the immortal realm. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said slowly. Descendants of the divine clan? The Cthulhuism sect is just the name given to them by the immortal sects. They call themselves the Ancient God sect. Are you saying that you want me to make use of the conflict between these evil sects and the immortal sects? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He had obtained the divine clan mark during the Heaven's Chosen Convention and it was still in his primordial spirit. However, he had not studied the use of the divine clan mark. If he met a descendant of the divine clan in the immortal realm, he might be able to unravel the mystery of the divine clan mark. However, when he thought about what Lei Ling had done, Ling Xiao felt a headache coming on. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2900. Ling Xiao finally decided to head to the immortal world as Lei Ling. Although Lei Ling had caused a lot of trouble in the immortal world, especially the daughter and wife of the ancient god cult master who were after his life, Ling Xiao felt that there was still a way to resolve it. Moreover, Ling Xiao had already merged with Lei Ling's immortal root. It would be difficult to change to another person. After all, the risk of being exposed was greater if he disguised himself as an expert from the immortal sect in the immortal world. Ling Xiao followed Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain and left the divine world, moving towards the chaotic void. The immortal world was in the depths of the chaotic void. Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain found it with great difficulty. This trip to the immortal world was like pulling chestnuts out of the fire. Ling Xiao was extremely cautious. He left the 4 extreme Dao Emperor weapons in the heavenly prison court. After all, these extreme Dao Emperor weapons were very famous. If they were discovered by the immortal tribe in the immortal world, it would be a huge problem. As for the wordless heavenly book and the fortune jade disc, they had already merged with Ling Xiao's body. If Ling Xiao did not deliberately reveal them, Even the great emperors would not be able to discover them. Rumble. In the chaotic void, there was nothing. There was no concept of time and space. There were no living creatures. There was only an eternal chaotic mist. Sometimes, there would even be chaotic storms. The chaotic void was extremely dangerous. Once there was a terrifying chaotic storm, even the emperor would be in danger of dying. Ling Xiao followed Jiang Yuyang and the emperor of Kunwu Mountain and moved hundreds of millions of miles in an instant. He could vaguely feel that there were worlds around him. They were floating in the chaotic void like bubbles. Some of them looked extremely sturdy, but some were shaky as if they were about to collapse at any time. After moving for an unknown period of time, the chaotic void in front of them suddenly opened up. Rumble. Blazing light bloomed from afar and shone in the chaotic void. It exuded a vast heavenly aura. Ling Xiao and the other two could feel a strong pressure coming towards them. In front of the vast aura, Ling Xiao felt that he was as small as an ant. The immortal world is in front. The emperor of Kunwu Mountain said slowly. His eyes seemed to be able to pierce through the layers of chaotic void and see the vast and ancient world in front of him. This place was still very far away from the immortal world, but the majestic aura emitted by the immortal world had already reached here, causing Ling Xiao to be amazed. In the surrounding chaotic void, Ling Xiao could sense some floating broken continents and even some mountain peaks. Those were the remains of some destroyed greater worlds, and there might be some treasures produced in the chaos. Now that the seal of the immortal world had been lifted, many immortals had left the immortal world. Some had gone to conquer other greater thousand worlds, while others had gone to explore the chaos void in search of treasures. There were even caves left behind by unparalleled great emperors in the chaotic void, attracting countless people to explore them. Ling Xiao, the celestial realm is just ahead. If you keep going forward, you might encounter immortals. Additionally, the longevity tower will sense you. We can only escort you up to this point. You will have to rely on yourself for the rest. Jiang Yuyang said. Good. Seniors, don't worry. I will definitely obtain enough information on this trip to the immortal world. Seniors, just wait for my good news. Ling Xiao said with a smile, full of confidence. He had now taken on Lei Ling's appearance. From the outside to the inside, whether it was his appearance, bone structure, primordial spirit, or birth chart imprint, he was exactly the same as Lei Ling. Ling Xiao was now wearing a purple robe, looking handsome and elegant. His entire body emitted a bright immortal light, making him look ethereal and otherworldly. However, he did not hide his cultivation base. He was still a celestial venerable. After all, Lei Ling had been in the immortal king realm for a long time. Even if he broke through now, it would not be too abrupt. The former Purple Firmament Immortal King could now be called the Purple Firmament Immortal Venerable. Be careful. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said seriously. Don't worry. I, Ling Xiao, am very tough. Ling Xiao cupped his hands at Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain and said with a smile. Then he soared into the sky and flew forward. Looking at Ling Xiao's back, Jiang Yuyang and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain had a complicated look in their eyes. Lord Kunwu, it's too risky to let Ling Xiao go to the immortal world. Jiang Yuyang said with a sigh. I know, but there's no other way. This is the path he has to take. This is his destiny. However, I believe that he will be able to obtain the ultimate fortune in the immortal world. Then, he will defy the heavens and embark on his journey to the Emperor's realm. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said with a smile. You have high hopes for him. However, those great emperors in the immortal world should be flawless, right? They have been observing quietly for countless years. In this era, I'm afraid they will not be able to resist the temptation. Jiang Yuyang said slowly. There's no other way. Everyone wants the only chance to transcend. For those great emperors since ancient times, it's a fatal attraction. The reason why this era's calamity is the cruelest and darkest in history is that all the great emperors since ancient times will appear. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said slowly with a compassionate look in his eyes. When the great emperors appear, let alone the human race, All the races in the universe will be like ants waiting to be slaughtered. They will not care about us at all. Now, I only hope that the moment will come later and give Ling Xiao more time to grow. We no longer have a chance, but he has endless possibilities. Jiang Yuyang said. I hope so. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said non-committally, his eyes filled with vicissitudes of life. At this moment, Ling Xiao had arrived in front of the immortal world. Is this the immortal world? Standing in front of the immortal world, Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with amazement. Rumble! A vast and ancient world appeared in front of Ling Xiao. Its aura was majestic and boundless. It was even bigger than the divine world and exuded an immortal aura. Blazing divine light bloomed and endless lightning bolts rose, enveloping the entire immortal realm and manifesting all kinds of mysterious phenomena. In a trance, Ling Xiao felt as if he had arrived in the ancient mythical era. Boom! Suddenly, a vast and ancient aura erupted. Like a storm, it swept out in all directions and bloomed with dazzling light. In front of Ling Xiao, a gigantic pagoda that was over 1,000,000 zhang tall appeared. It exuded a dazzling immortal light and an immortal aura as it stood in the chaos. The gigantic pagoda was like a pillar that supported the heavens. Its aura was majestic and incomparably majestic. At the same time, divine chains of order and resplendent runes spread out in all directions, enveloping the entire world of immortals. Ling Xiao came to a realization. This gigantic pagoda was probably the longevity pagoda that suppressed the great array of 10,000 immortals. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2901. The 1,000,000 zhang tall longevity tower stood in the middle of the primal chaos void, propping up heaven and earth and separating the clear and the impure to form a supreme great array that enveloped the entire immortal plane. The grand array of myriad immortals. It was an incomparably shocking sight. Only by passing through the grand array of myriad immortals and the longevity tower could they enter the immortal plane. Despite Ling Xiao's calm expression, he was inwardly feeling extremely nervous. He channeled a secret heavenly immortal technique and his body shone with resplendent immortal light. Be it his life aura or fate imprint, they were all identical to Lei Ling's. Then he stepped towards the longevity tower. The closer he got to the longevity tower, the more Ling Xiao could sense how terrifying the longevity tower was. This primal chaos treasure seemed to have come from the very beginning of heaven and earth. It contained a supreme power capable of splitting open heaven and earth. Despite Ling Xiao's peerless cultivation base, which was very close to that of an imperial emperor, he still felt insignificant before the longevity tower. Suddenly, Ling Xiao sensed the wordless heavenly book and fortune jade disc, which had fused with his head and heart, trembling slightly. They released an incomparably wondrous wave of energy, which was on the verge of spreading out from Ling Xiao's body. Oh no! Ling Xiao was shocked and he hastily suppressed the wordless heavenly book and fortune jade disc. At the same time, he channeled a secret heavenly immortal technique to isolate all auras. His entire being became as tranquil as an ancient well. The wordless heavenly book and fortune jade disc were also primal chaos treasures. Although they were incomplete, Ling Xiao had completely refined them and fused them with his body. Ling Xiao had not expected them to form a connection with the longevity tower. Boom! The longevity tower seemingly sensed something and it suddenly released a dazzling immortal light. It was as dazzling as the sun to illuminate the primal chaos void. At that very moment, an old man with white hair and beard, clad in Taoist robes, who was seated cross-legged inside the longevity tower, abruptly opened his eyes. What a familiar aura! I wonder which fellow cultivator is this? Within the old man's eyes, there seemed to be a mysterious scene of the beginning of heaven and earth. It was unfathomable and divine light swirled around it. Carefully sensing it, the old man found nothing. The great epic tribulation has descended. Those old fellows are likely going to come out. The old man shook his head and closed his eyes again. The longevity tower fell silent as well. As for Ling Xiao, he was shocked. Unexpectedly, the longevity tower's senses could be so sharp. If it weren't for his quick reaction, he would have been exposed before he could even enter the immortal plane. Could it be that the wordless heavenly book and the jade plate of good fortune still have their own wills? A shadow was cast over Ling Zhao's heart, and his gaze became incomparably sharp. He had previously self-detonated the wordless heavenly book, but by chance, the wordless heavenly book and the creation jade disc had fused into his body. Ling Zhao had thought that he had complete control over these two primordial chaos treasures and had thus condensed the primordial chaos immortal body. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. "I'd like to see what you're up to." Ling Zhao sneered in his heart. After sensing that the longevity tower's aura had calmed down, Ling Zhao slowly stepped forward and continued moving forward. Soon, Ling Zhao entered the area of the 10,000 Immortals formation. Resplendent and holy immortal light sprinkled down, gentle and soft. It seemed to have penetrated Ling Zhao's body and fused with him. In the end, when it sensed the immortal root within Ling Zhao's body, the mysterious aura slowly dissipated. Ling Zhao could clearly feel that the mysterious aura contained some kind of powerful will. Is this the longevity tower's artifact spirit? Ling Zhao thought to himself. The fact that the immortal plane could use a flawless primordial chaos treasure to suppress the immortal plane and set up the 10,000 Immortals formation showed just how deep and powerful the immortal plane's foundation was. However, after the longevity tower sensed the immortal root within Ling Zhao's body, it naturally assumed that he was a member of the immortal plane. Thus, it did not stop Ling Zhao, allowing him to pass through the 10,000 Immortals formation unimpeded. Rumble. An ancient and majestic city appeared before Ling Zhao's eyes. It was like a giant beast hibernating in the primordial chaos. Its entire body radiated resplendent immortal light, giving it an incomparably mysterious appearance. 3 resplendent words hung above the huge city. Flying Immortal City. Now that the immortal plane was enveloped by the 10,000 Immortals formation, only the Flying Immortal City could enter and exit the immortal plane. Therefore, if Ling Zhao wanted to enter the immortal plane, he could only go through the Flying Immortal City. Ling Zhao could sense that there was an unfathomable aura within the Flying Immortal City, exuding a powerful emperor's might. It was an imperial emperor powerhouse. There was an imperial emperor powerhouse guarding the Flying Immortal City. Ling Zhao became even more cautious. After seeing the Flying Immortal City, Ling Zhao realized that there were many immortals in Taoist robes or feathered robes in the surroundings. They stepped on the void and entered the Flying Immortal City. There were also immortals leaving the Flying Immortal City. However, after sensing the aura of those immortals, Ling Zhao knew that they must be experts nurtured by the powerful forces in the immortal plane. Each of them had an extraordinary cultivation base and a deep foundation. Outside the Flying Immortal City, there was also a group of powerful warriors in golden armor standing guard. Each of them had a sharp gaze and a murderous aura around them. Clearly, they were all experts who had gone through hundreds of battles. Their cultivation bases were at least at the Immortal King realm. A group of immortal kings guarding the Flying Immortal City showed how much importance the immortal plane placed on the Flying Immortal City. Ling Zhao retracted his aura and only exuded a faint immortal light. He followed the surrounding immortals into the Flying Immortal City. Ling Zhao's current identity was Lei Ling. Ever since Ling Zhao found out about what this guy had done, he knew that there was an active volcano above his head that could erupt at any time. Therefore, he had to keep a low profile as much as possible. As long as he could sneak into the immortal world, he would be able to fly freely in the vast sky and swim freely in the vast sea. Ling Zhao had just entered the Flying Immortal City when he was immediately stopped by 2 figures. "Lei Ling, you've been exposed. Come with us." A cold voice rang in Ling Zhao's ears, causing him to shiver all over. He knew that he was in trouble. They were 2 middle-aged men in black robes with extremely cold faces. Their hair was very short, and their skin was dark golden. Their entire bodies were filled with explosive power, and their auras were unfathomable. Moreover, both of them were celestial venerables. "Dragon Vanquisher Sage, Tiger Vanquisher Sage, why are the 2 of you here?" Ling Zhao squeezed out a smile on his face and said helplessly. The two black-robed men in front of him were the right-hand men of the old god cult master's wife, Fairy Fuyao. They were called Dragon Vanquisher and Tiger Vanquisher. Ling Xiao had inherited Lei Ling's identity and memory, so he naturally recognized them. Ling Xiao knew that he was in trouble the moment he saw them. He did not expect that old woman Fuyao would hate Lei Ling to this extent. Lei Ling had already escaped from the immortal world, but Fuyao still sent her most capable men to wait for him in the flying immortal city just to catch him. Senior Jiang Yuyang, Senior Kunwa Mountain, I'm in big trouble because of you. Ling Xiao screamed in his heart. Lei Ling, why do you think we're here? How dare you steal our ancient god cult's heaven-mending elixir? The cult master's wife sent us here to catch you. Are you going to surrender yourself, or are you waiting for us to do it? Dragon Vanquisher Sage sneered. Heaven-mending elixir? Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. He immediately cursed that old woman Fuyao for being so shameless. She was the one who gave the heaven-mending elixir to Lei Ling, but now she was looking for an excuse to catch him. Frowny face bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 2902. That's Lei Ling? His cultivation has reached the immortal venerable realm? It seems like he's gotten a lot of good fortune after leaving the immortal world. Someone exclaimed, recognizing Lei Ling's identity. Lei Ling is really amazing to be able to cultivate to the immortal venerable realm as a rogue cultivator. Unfortunately, he has offended the Cthulhuism Society. I'm afraid he's doomed this time. I heard that Lei Ling stole the Cthulhuism Society's heaven-mending divine pill. I think he broke through to the immortal venerable realm because of that pill. Now that the two immortal venerables of the Cthulhuism Society are here to capture him, it seems like he's going to fall into their hands. How can the Cthulhuism Society be so arrogant? They're just a bunch of rats who only know how to hide in the dark. If it weren't for our immortal sects showing mercy, these evil sects would have been completely wiped out. The evil sects are indeed weak, but the Cthulhuism sect is the strongest among them. Even the leader of the 9 great immortal sects, the Tai immortal sect, can't do anything to the Cthulhuism sect. If they hear you, I'm afraid you don't want to live anymore. God cultivators are heretics, traitors who betrayed the immortal clan. Everyone has the right to kill them. One day, the Cthulhuism Society will be completely wiped out. Everyone's attention was drawn to Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage. Different expressions appeared on their faces as they discussed in low voices. Lei Ling was a rogue cultivator, but he was still somewhat famous in the immortal world. Many people paid attention to the Zi Shao Immortal King's extraordinary talent. Especially some time ago, it was suddenly revealed that Lei Ling had stolen the heaven-mending divine pill from the Cthulhuism Society and was being hunted down by the Cthulhuism Society. Lei Ling had escaped from the immortal world, but no one expected him to return so soon and be intercepted by Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage as soon as he returned. This is not a good place to fight. Ling Xiao sighed inwardly. This was the flying immortal city. If he fought here, even if he could defeat Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage, his identity would most likely be exposed. Ling Xiao thought for a moment and gave up. All right, I'll go with you. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and nodded. Don't even think about running away, or we'll kill you. Dragon Vanquisher Sage sneered. Seeing how obedient Lei Ling was, a trace of disdain appeared in their eyes. A black chain appeared in Tiger Subdue's hand and locked Ling Xiao's arms. God-binding lock. This was the secret treasure of the Cthulhuism Society, specifically used to seal the cultivation of experts. Ling Xiao could feel that after the God-binding lock locked his arms, there was a strange rune spreading around his body, sealing his cultivation as well. However, even though the God-binding lock was powerful, Ling Xiao believed that he could break the seal of the God-binding lock anytime he wanted. Therefore, Ling Xiao did not resist and allowed Tiger Subdue the God-trapping lock to seal his cultivation. Under everyone's gaze, Ling Xiao followed Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage through the flying immortal city and toward the immortal world. Ling Xiao could feel that when he was in the flying immortal city, The Imperial Emperor expert who suppressed the flying immortal city seemed to be watching him, but it was incomparably obscure. Fortunately, Ling Xiao did not make a move. Otherwise, even if he suppressed Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage, he would still be captured if that immortal emperor came. Rumble. After passing through a cloud shrouded in immortal light, Ling Xiao finally arrived at the immortal world. This was an incomparably ancient and vast world. Within the range of Ling Xiao's perception, he could sense that the immortal world was even vaster than the divine world, and the space barrier here was incomparably sturdy. The scenery in front of him was magnificent and beautiful. The mountains were undulating and towering between heaven and earth, surrounded by clouds and mist. Auspicious vapors were rising, and immortal light was shining brightly. It looked mysterious and unfathomable. In the mountain range, ancient trees towered into the sky, lush and verdant. Waterfalls and springs flowed, and rivers flowed through the mountains, containing majestic chi of origin. In the distance, huge immortal cities stood on the ground. They looked simple and majestic, as if they had experienced the vicissitudes of time and were incomparably sturdy. Ling Xiao even saw some powerful ancient ferocious beasts and primeval mutants in those mountains. They were absorbing the essence of the sun and moon, and their auras were incomparably powerful. This was the immortal world. It was as if it was in the primeval times and had a heavy feeling of time. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. He wondered if he should make a move here, kill Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage, and then escape. Anyway, the immortal world was so big that it would not be easy for the old god cult to catch him even if they were extremely powerful. But at this moment, Ling Xiao's attention was attracted by a figure. It was a girl in a black gauze dress, standing on the peak of the mountains. Her skin was as white as jade, and her gauze fluttered in the wind, making her look like a floating immortal. Her black hair was like a waterfall, dense, glossy, and soft like satin. Especially her pair of peerlessly beautiful and flawless face, coupled with her large watery eyes, they seemed capable of capturing one's soul. Every single frown and smile of hers contained a myriad of amorous feelings. Damn it, why is she here? Ling Xiao had a bad feeling in his heart. How could he not know this girl in the black dress? She was the daughter of the ancient god cult's hierarch, and also the saintess of Yunxi. At this moment, Yunxi turned her head and smiled at Ling Xiao. In an instant, the world lost its color, as if hundreds of flowers had bloomed. It was indescribably beautiful. Ling Xiao shuddered involuntarily. This was the lawless little she-devil of the evil god cult. Not only was she extremely talented, her cultivation was unparalleled, and her character was unruly and capricious. Ling Xiao really admired Lei Ling for being able to subdue such a little she-devil, but at the same time, he was cursing him in his heart. Yunxi Saintess is here. Could it be that Madame Fuyao is here too? And the most mysterious hierarch of the ancient god cult, Gu Tongtian, is here too? Gu Tongtian's strength was extraordinary. Even if he was not as strong as Jiang Yuyang, he was not much weaker. Such a person could probably kill Ling Xiao with a slap. Greetings, Saintess. Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage also noticed Yunxi Saintess. Their faces changed, but they still bowed and greeted her. Where are you taking Lei Ling to? Yunxi's eyes moved as she said lightly. Her voice was as melodious as a bell. Saintess, Lei Ling stole the heaven-nourishing elixir of our cult. Madam wants us to capture him and hand him over to her. Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage replied respectfully. Stole the heaven-nourishing elixir? What a big sin. Leave Lei Ling to me. I'll bring him back to the cult. Yunxi said lightly, but there was an unquestionable determination in her voice. Chapter 2903. Saintess, I don't think that's a good idea. Madam wants us to bring Lei Ling back and hand him over to her. Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage were put in a difficult position. What? Don't you trust me? Do you think I'll let Lei Ling go? I'll bring Lei Ling back personally and hand him over to my mother. Get lost if you don't want to die. Yunxi sneered. Her face was as cold as ice as she scolded the two Zun cultivators in front of her. Thus, Saintess, I hope you can bring Lei Ling back to Madam as soon as possible. Otherwise, we won't be able to answer to her. Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage trembled. Although they were already celestial venerables, they were still afraid of Yunshi Saintess. Since Yunshi Saintess was determined to take Lei Ling away, they did not dare to stop her. Moreover, they did not believe that Yunshi Saintess would let Lei Ling go without permission. After all, only Yunshi Saintess and Madame Fuyao knew what had happened between Lei Ling, Yunshi Saintess, and Madame Fuyao. The ancient god sect only claimed that Lei Ling had stolen the heaven-repairing elixir. If they knew what had happened between Lei Ling, Yunshi Saintess, and Madame Fuyao, they would not dare to hand Lei Ling over to Yunshi Saintess. Dragon Vanquisher Sage and Tiger Subdue Sage left. They were going to return to the ancient god sect to report this matter to Madame Fuyao. After the two sovereigns left, Yunshi Saintess glared at Ling Xiao. Her eyes were filled with anger and resentment. Lei Ling, we meet again. Do you think I should just kill you directly? Or should I bring you back and hand you over to that bitch? Yunshi Saintess regained her composure and chuckled. She flew towards Ling Xiao and landed in front of him. Then she lifted his chin with her crystal-clear finger. Ling Xiao could feel a fragrant wind blowing against his face. Yunshi Saintess' red lips parted slightly. She was so close to Ling Xiao that he could even hear her heartbeat. What is this little demoness trying to do? Why don't I just go all the way and kill her? Ling Xiao thought to himself as a murderous intent welled up in his heart. However, when he heard the Saintess call Madame Fuyao a bitch, his heart skipped a beat. He suddenly remembered that the Saintess and Madame Fuyao were not mother and daughter. Furthermore, they did not like each other. The Saintess was even more hostile towards Madame Fuyao. Could he use the relationship between the two of them? In the end, Ling Xiao didn't make a move. After all, Saintess Yunshi was the daughter of the ancient god cult's hierarch. Not only did she have an extraordinary cultivation level, but she had also reached the immortal venerable realm. Moreover, she definitely had a Tao protector who might even be an immortal monarch expert. If he acted rashly, he would only alert the enemy. What should he do? S's, Yunshit, Junes, the heavens took pity on me and allowed me to see you again. Even if I die now, it's worth it. Yunshi, over ye have testus you, with affectionately to Teet. I didn't expect that you wouldn't be satisfied with having me, but you could have hooked up with anyone else. How could you seduce that bitch? How is she better than me? How could you treat me like this? I really want to dig your chest open and see if your heart is black. Yunshi Saintess said faintly, but her eyes were cold. Ling Xiao could clearly feel the killing intent in her eyes. Damn it. This bitch wants to kill me. Ling Xiao thought to himself, and the affection in his eyes grew stronger. He looked at Yunshi Saintess and sighed. Yunshi, you're the only one in my heart. The reason why I and Madame Fuyao. I was forced to do so. I haven't told you about this because she threatened me. If I told you, she would kill you. Lei, are you still making up stories? Lei, keep making up stories. The Saintess sneered. She drew circles on Ling Xiao's chest with her sparkling fingers. Ling Xiao could clearly feel that the Saintess' fingernails were as sharp as knives. It was as if they could break Ling Xiao's chest at any time. Yunshi, I don't care if I die, but I only hope that you can be safe and happy. Madame Fuyao hated you to the core. She once told me that she wanted to steal everything you loved, including the man you loved the most. I was forced by her because if I didn't do as she said, not only would she kill me, but she would also destroy you. I don't care if I die, but my dearest Yunshi, how could I bear to let you die in her hands? No matter what, I betrayed you. I deserve to die. Yunshi, just break open my chest and take out my heart. See what color my heart is. To be able to die in your hands is the happiest thing in my life. But I'm very regretful. I'm regretful that I didn't cherish such a sincere love placed in front of me. If there's another chance, I want to tell that girl 3 words, I love you. If I have to add a time limit, I hope it'll be billions of years, until the seas dry up and the rocks crumble. My love will never change. Ling Xiao suppressed his disgust and pretended to be affectionate as he said some touching words of love. Actually, Lei Ling had prepared these words in advance. Ling Xiao admired Lei Ling more and more. He also felt that it was indeed a little depressing for such a person to die silently in his own hands. Although Lei Ling had escaped from the realm of the gods, he was afraid that he would be captured one day. Hence, he had thought of 2 sets of words in advance. Ling Xiao didn't know if these words were useful. He expressed them according to Lei Ling's previous emotions and expressions. He felt that it was smooth and it was extremely carefree. Although he appeared to be affectionate on the surface, Ling Xiao was already prepared. If Yunshi Saintis still wanted to kill him, he would have to kill her first. By then, even if Yunshi's protectors were to take action, there would be no other way. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Yunshi's expression was still incomparably cold. However, in the end, her body actually trembled slightly. Especially after hearing the words "I love you," Yunshi's eyes were filled with endless affection. Her gaze was bright and resplendent as if she was immersed in Ling Xiao's words and couldn't extricate herself. It had to be said that the destructive power of these words was too strong. This was the carefully prepared words of the romantic immortal king, Lei Ling. It was a great weapon to deal with Yunshi. It was specially designed to deal with this kind of little devil who was inexperienced in the world but had a strong cultivation and had lived in a world of mutual deception since young. Yunshi instantly fell into his hands. "Lei Ling, my Lei Ling, you've suffered." Yunshi's eyes were slightly red. She opened her arms and hugged Ling Xiao tightly in her embrace. "Finally, we don't have to fight to the death. I'm so tired." These words are even more tiring than fighting. Ling Xiao also heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that this calamity was over. Next, as long as he could use half of Lei Ling's ability to flirt with girls, he should be able to handle Yunshi. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2904. Ling Xiao held Yunshi Saintis in his arms, but he rejected her in his heart. Jin Sei and Shui Wei's faces involuntarily appeared in his mind, as well as Changxing, that cute little girl. He could not help but shudder in his heart, and a trace of guilt gushed out. Ahem. This is just a temporary measure. I only have Jin Sei and Shui Wei in my heart. Ling Xiao said in his heart. He felt the joy in Yunshi Saintis' heart. Using Lei Ling's experience, he felt that it was about time. Buzz. There was a flash of light in Ling Xiao's palm, and a scarlet flower appeared. Its petals were needle-shaped, and it looked crystal clear. It was like a flowing flame, but it was emitting a somewhat demonic aura. This flower contained boundless and mysterious energy. As soon as it appeared in the void, it lit up the surroundings. "Yunshi, what do you think this is?" Ling Xiao said with a smile. "This is red spider lily." Yunshi Saintis was shocked, and her eyes were filled with surprise. Red spider lily, also known as the red spider lily, bloomed on both sides of the Yellow Spring River. It contained the mystery of life and death, and had the effect of reviving the dead. It was extremely mysterious. The red spider lily could be used to refine the red spider lily. Not only could it bring the dead back to life, but it also had a mysterious effect on comprehending the origin of the great ways. However, there was no red spider lily in the immortal realm, because there was no Yellow Spring River. "Yunshi, I know you've always wanted to obtain the red spider lily and refine the Permitha divine pill to save your mother. So this time, I left the immortal realm and went through a lot to finally get this red spider lily for you at the Yellow Spring River. Do you like it?" Ling Xiao looked at Yunshi affectionately and said, "This red spider lily was actually obtained by Lei Ling by accident. Originally, he wanted to find a chance to please Saintess Yunshi so that he could cheat the ancient god cult's supreme emperor's sutra from her. However, he did not expect that it would end up benefiting Ling Xiao." Ling Xiao imitated Lei Ling's tone and said these mushy words. Both his tone and expression were on point. At the beginning, Ling Xiao felt extremely ashamed, but as he spoke, he got used to it. Could it be that I have a talent in this area? Ling Xiao thought to himself proudly. Lei Lang, did you leave the immortal world just to collect the red spider lily for me? You're too good to me. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have doubted you. It's all that old bitch Fu Yao's fault for sowing discord between us. She can't bear to see us living so well. I'll find a chance to kill that old hag Fu Yao and avenge you, Brother Lei. The saintess was very touched. Her eyes were watery and filled with endless affection. She was very happy. At this moment, she no longer had any doubts. According to the legends, the Yellow Springs River was extremely dangerous. It could be said that there was only a slim chance of survival. In order to help her collect the red spider lily, Lei Lang did not hesitate to leave the immortal world and went through countless difficulties to obtain the red spider lily. Saintess Yunxi fell for this kind of unswerving love. Ahem, Yunxi, I know what you're thinking. However, Fuyao is the wife of the sect leader and your stepmother. She has great power in the divine sect. You can't fight her head-on. You have to accumulate strength. It won't be too late to deal with her after you control the divine sect. Ling Xiao coughed lightly and said somewhat guiltily. All right, Brother Lei, you're still the best to me. Brother Lei, why don't you come back to the divine sect with me? My father should be coming out of seclusion soon. When he comes out, I'll take you to see him and let him host our wedding. Then, my father will pass the position of the sect leader to me. At that time, you will be the sect leader and I will be the wife of the sect leader. Yunxi looked at Ling Xiao and said with anticipation, Sect leader Gu is coming out of seclusion? Ling Xiao's heart trembled and he felt his scalp tingle. Gu Tongtian was a big shot in the immortal world. Although Ling Xiao did not know how strong his cultivation was, the old god sect could compete with the Tai immortal sect, one of the 9 immortal sects, for many years without being at a disadvantage. It was obvious that Gu Tongtian's strength was extremely terrifying. Not only did Lei Ling sleep with someone else's daughter, but he also slept with someone else's wife. If Gu Tongtian really found out that something was amiss, then even if Lei Ling had 10 lives, Gu Tongtian would not be able to kill him. He could not go to the old god sect. He must not go. Ahem, Yunxi. I have already made a vow that I will only marry you in this life. But I, Lei Ling, am not a man who lives off women. If I marry you like this, what will others say? They will definitely say that I am greedy for the power of the old god sect. I don't care what others say about me, but I won't allow them to say anything about you. So, I have already made a vow that when I break through to the immortal realm, I will personally go to the old god sect and ask for sect leader Gu's hand in marriage. At that time, if anyone dares to say anything, I will kill him directly. So, Yunxi, although you are the person I love the most and I don't want to be separated from you, I can't go to the old god sect now. I am going to travel the immortal world to look for opportunities and train myself so that I can break through to the immortal realm as soon as possible. Then, I will go to the old god sect to ask for your hand in marriage. Yunxi, wait for me in the old god sect. Ling Xiao said righteously. His heroic spirit was unparalleled, and his whole body exuded a kind of domineering aura. Yunxi looked at him with eyes full of stars and admiration. Brother Lei, I really didn't misjudge you. You're so good to me. How about this, I will travel the immortal world with you. This way, we will never be separated. Yunxi said affectionately. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly said, No. Yunxi, you can't be with me like this. I have to consider your reputation. Moreover, I, Lei Ling, want the whole immortal world to know that I, Lei Ling, am also the king of the young generation and have the ability to become an immortal king. I am qualified to be with you, Saintess Yunxi. So, Yunxi, you go back to the old god sect first. I will definitely go and ask for your hand in marriage. This red spider lily will be the token of our love. Ling Zhao's expression was extremely resolute. He directly placed the red spider lily in the palm of Yunxi Saintess. Okay, Brother Lei, I will listen to you. Yunxi Saintess had already fainted from Ling Zhao's domineering aura. How could she reject Ling Xiao at this moment? She nodded repeatedly in agreement. Moreover, Yunshi Saintis felt that Brother Lei had become more manly after returning from the immortal world. That kind of wild and domineering aura fascinated her. Yunshi, wait for me in the old god sect. I am leaving. Ling Xiao grabbed Yunshi's shoulders and stared into her eyes as he said seriously. Then he hugged Yunshi in his arms. After a while, Ling Xiao soared into the sky and left without a trace of reluctance. My Yunshi's man is so handsome. Yunshi clutched the red spider lily in her hand tightly. Looking at Ling Xiao's back, she blushed and muttered to herself. Chapter 2905. I've finally gotten rid of her. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. After he left Yunshi Saintis, he teleported thousands of miles away and used the heaven-devouring secret skill to conceal his aura. Finally, he landed on a beautiful mountain peak and stopped. Ling Xiao felt very tired. Dealing with Yunshi Saintis was more tiring than fighting with others. Although he didn't encounter any danger when he sneaked into the immortal realm this time, it was still very thrilling and full of twists and turns. Only now did Ling Xiao believe that he was really safe. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse for me to disguise myself as Lei Ling. Women are too scary. I'd better stay away from them in the future. However, if I want to find out about the immortal realm, it's best to look for the disciples of the celestial sects or the disciples of the big families. I wonder where I am now. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. There were 3,000 prefectures in the immortal realm. Each prefecture was hundreds of millions of miles wide. The entire immortal realm was probably a few times bigger than the divine realm. Lei Ling used to be a rogue cultivator. However, he was not very old. He was only a little over 1,000 years old and had only been active in a few dozen prefectures. For example, the area that Ling Xiao was in now was very unfamiliar to him. He could not find anything special in Lei Ling's memory. It's best that you're not familiar with it. This way, I won't encounter those scary women. Ling Xiao thought to himself. He was currently in a desolate mountain range. Huge mountains rose from the ground in a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers. Ancient trees stood tall, and terrifying beast roars rang out from the mountain range, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently. Ling Xiao could even feel that there were ferocious beasts the size of small mountains in the surrounding mountains. They were absorbing the essence of heaven and earth and the essence of the sun and moon. Their auras were extremely powerful. Moreover, the mountains were shrouded in fog. Although it looked like fog, it was actually miasma. It emitted a 7-colored light. Under the sunlight, it looked a little demonic. When Ling Xiao had just arrived in the immortal realm, he had seen a lot of beautiful immortal paradises. No matter how he looked at it, this place did not look like a paradise at all. Instead, it was extremely evil and full of evil qi. The most important thing now is to find an immortal city to gather information. Ling Xiao thought to himself. At this moment, he had already retracted his aura and looked like an ordinary immortal. He leaped and flew into the distance. In the immortal world, saints, great saints, and sage kings were also called immortals, great immortals, and immortal kings. Those below immortals were called immortal cultivators. The immortal race had their own cultivation system, but it was more or less the same as the god realm. If it wasn't for the fact that the immortal roots of the immortal world were special and that Ling Xiao had already fused with Lei Ling's immortal root, he would have given up on the identity of Lei Ling. What are those fierce beasts doing? Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly flashed as he asked in surprise. In front of him, there was a gorilla that was as black as ink, an elephant with golden hair that shone with golden light, and a huge brown bear. At this moment, they were all tied up by thick chains and were working hard to dig the mountain. That's right, they were digging the mountain. The big bear, the elephant, and the brown bear all looked to be hundreds of feet tall. Their huge bodies were filled with explosive power, and each of them had a murderous aura. Moreover, judging from their auras, they were actually powerful demonic beasts that had already reached the immortal king realm. These 3 demonic beasts were working very hard. They had already dug out more than half of the mountain in front of them, as if the mountain was about to be emptied. It was as if they were looking for some kind of treasure. An old Taoist with white hair and beard held a horsetail whisk in his hand as he walked in the air. From the back, he looked like an immortal, but his appearance was a little ugly. He had shifty eyes and was commanding the 3 demonic beasts to work. Could it be that there's some kind of treasure in this mountain? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. However, the scene in front of him looked a little strange. Although the old Taoist had an immortal aura and the immortal aura around him was incomparably pure, Ling Zhao could still feel that the old Taoist was most likely not a member of the immortal race, but more like a demonic beast that had attained Tao and cultivated the Tao of the immortal race. A demonic beast that cultivated the Tao of the immortal race was commanding 3 big demonic beasts to dig the mountain. This scene was strange no matter how one looked at it. Just as Ling Zhao noticed them, the old Taoist also noticed Ling Zhao. "Fellow Taoist, can you help me with something?" The old Taoist's eyes lit up when he saw Ling Zhao. He immediately flew over and stopped Ling Zhao, chuckling as he asked, "What can I do for you, Taoist?" Ling Zhao smiled faintly. "Fellow Taoist, there's an immortal crystal mine under this mountain, but there's a formation left behind by the immortal race experts. We can't enter it. Can you go ahead and break the formation? I'll definitely reward you handsomely." The old Taoist smiled at Ling Zhao. "Immortal crystal mine?" Ling Zhao was stunned. In the immortal world, immortal stones and immortal crystals were hard currencies. Immortal crystals were even more precious than supreme-grade immortal stones. Not only did they contain rich origin energy, but they also contained a trace of immortal spiritual energy from the immortal world. They were essential treasures for experts at the Immortal King realm and above to cultivate. Ling Zhao didn't expect that the old Taoist was digging here because there was an immortal crystal mine here. "That's right. If you can help me break the formation outside the immortal crystal mine, I'll give you 10,000 immortal crystals. How about that?" The old Taoist said with a smile. "Taoist, your cultivation is profound. If even you can't break the formation outside the immortal crystal mine, how can I break it? You think too highly of me." Ling Zhao pretended to smile bitterly as he said. His current cultivation seemed to be at the immortal realm. Naturally, he was far inferior to the old Taoist. There was even a trace of fear and trepidation on his face. "Fellow Taoist, I won't hide it from you. I'm a demonic beast who achieved Tao. It's just that I accidentally obtained the immortal race's Tao technique, so my original body is still a demonic beast. However, the formation outside the immortal crystal mine was left behind by the immortal race experts. It has a great restraining effect on demonic beasts like me. I can't even get close to that formation. However, you're different. You're a member of the immortal race, so you'll definitely be able to break that formation." The old Taoist said with a smile. He was extremely honest and didn't hide his identity as a demonic beast. At this moment, the 3 demonic beasts, the gorilla, the elephant, and the brown bear, also raised their heads and looked at Ling Zhao with incomparable eagerness. "Since you trust me so much, I'll give it a try." Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he said with a smile. "All right. Fellow Taoist, you're a straightforward person. Whether you can break the formation outside the immortal crystal mine or not, I'll give you 10,000 immortal crystals." The old Taoist's eyes revealed a trace of joy as he said, "P.S. There are only 2 updates today. Everyone, rest early. Apex." Chapter 2906. Ling Zhao had already sensed that the old Taoist was up to no good. However, judging from the situation just now, if Ling Zhao did not agree, the old Taoist would probably attack him directly. Ling Zhao could clearly sense the old Taoist's deep malice and hidden murderous intent. However, Ling Zhao did not attack directly. Instead, he chose to beat the old Taoist at his own game. He also wanted to see what kind of treasures were in the belly of the mountain. The 3 ferocious beasts, the gorilla, the elephant, and the brown bear, made way for Ling Zhao to enter the belly of the mountain. The moment he entered the belly of the mountain, Ling Zhao could sense an extremely rich immortal spiritual energy. There were many immortal stones in the belly of the mountain, ranging from low-grade to supreme-grade immortal stones. These immortal stones were the minerals that accompanied the immortal crystals. Ling Xiao could sense that there were many dazzling immortal crystals in the depths of the mountain, which contained boundless origin energy and immortal spiritual energy. However, it was obvious that the old Taoist did not care about these immortal stones. What he wanted was the immortal crystals in the depths of the mountain. Ling Xiao headed towards the depths of the mountain, while the old Taoist followed behind him not far away, as if he was monitoring him. Naturally, the three demonic beasts stayed outside to protect him. Rumble. Finally, Ling Xiao saw the immortal crystal mine in the depths of the mountain. The blazing light was so dazzling that it was hard to open one's eyes. Immortal crystals were embedded in the mountain walls like bamboo shoots. They looked crystal clear and contained boundless energy. The boundless energy was even as blazing as lightning. It was intertwined with a gorgeous light, which was dreamy and hazy. However, in front of the immortal crystal mine, there was a transparent and dazzling barrier, which contained the power to seal and destroy. This is the formation. Young friend, please help me break this formation. The old Taoist pointed at the transparent barrier in front of him and smiled. No wonder they don't dare to go in and dig for the immortal crystals. This is a demon-suppressing formation that is specially used to suppress demonic beasts. However, it has no effect on the immortals. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Although he was unfamiliar with the array formations of the immortals, the array formations of the immortals and the array formations of the God realm ultimately led to the same destination. Both belonged to the category of array formations. Ling Xiao had comprehended the heavenly capital scripture. The heavenly capital scripture was originally left behind by the heavenly capital emperor. It was an imperial scripture that contained the supreme origin of array formations. It was easy for Ling Xiao to sense the killing intent and destructive power of this immortal Tao formation that targeted demonic beasts. However, even though it was only targeted at demonic beasts, it wasn't that easy for immortals to enter. At the very least, they had to be at the immortal king state before they could enter. Moreover, this large formation contained an extremely powerful devouring power. If one were to forcefully barge into it, one's vitality would be instantly devoured by the large formation. There is actually a great formation outside a fairy crystal mine. Could it be that there is an inheritance left behind by an expert? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. This immortal Tao formation was clearly left behind by the experts of the immortal tribe. It looked very ancient and should have been here for a very long time. But for some reason, it was discovered by this old Taoist, and he even ordered the three ferocious beasts to dig here. Taoist, what kind of formation is this? How can I break this large formation? My cultivation is low, so I'm afraid it will be very difficult for me to break this formation. Ling Xiao pretended to be very confused and asked. This formation is called the mysterious yellow demon-suppressing formation. It is a large formation specially used to suppress demonic beasts. However, it is very easy for you to break this formation. You just need to activate the immortal's blood essence and rush into the large formation. Then, the formation will naturally collapse. You can take 10,000 of these fairy crystals. I won't go back on my word. The old Taoist smiled. I'll be damned if I believe you. If I really activate the immortal's blood essence and rush into the large formation as you said, I'm afraid even a sage king would be devoured by the large formation's devouring power. This old man is really up to no good. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. However, he didn't show it on his face. He pretended to be excited and said, "Thank you, Taoist. In that case, I will break this formation for you." Boom. Majestic immortal's blood essence rose from Ling Xiao's body. Dazzling immortal light bloomed. He took a step forward and walked into the large formation. As if sensing the immortal's blood essence on Ling Xiao's body, the formation boundary in front of him trembled slightly. Runes intertwined and shone brightly, flickering unsteadily. When Ling Xiao walked into the boundary of the formation, the surroundings were instantly filled with dazzling immortal light. Runes began to wrap around Ling Xiao's body. At the same time, an incomparably majestic devouring power surged over, wanting to devour all of Ling Zhao's blood essence and life force. Taoist, why can't I enter the formation boundary? This large formation is actually devouring my life force? Save me, Taoist. Ling Zhao's eyes instantly revealed a panicked expression as he hurriedly pleaded to the old Taoist. Young friend, it is your honor to be devoured by the formation boundary and create an opportunity for me. Therefore, you should obediently die. Seeing that Ling Zhao had entered the formation boundary, the old Taoist's expression instantly became incomparably cold. He sneered and didn't look at Ling Zhao anymore. In his heart, Ling Zhao had already completed his mission and was a dead man. He carefully took out a rune that glowed with immortal light. In the blink of an eye, he slapped his palm on the formation's boundary. Open! The old Taoist growled. In an instant, the rune blossomed with dazzling light and formed a door of light above the formation boundary. Then the old Taoist stepped in and easily entered the formation boundary. So, he needs an immortal to restrain the devouring power of the formation boundary so that he can enter the large formation? Although Ling Zhao appeared to be in a state of panic and despair, he was laughing coldly in his heart. After entering the spirit formation boundary, Ling Zhao finally understood the profoundness of this large spirit formation. It was true that this large formation could suppress demon beasts and prevent them from entering. However, if an immortal with insufficient cultivation rashly entered, all of his life force would be devoured by the large formation. At that moment, a flaw would appear in the large formation. And the old Taoist had used this flaw to enter the large formation. These million immortal crystals are all mine. There's also the divine jade fetus left behind by the profound heaven immortal lord. With the divine jade fetus, not only do I have a chance to obtain the profound heaven immortal lord's inheritance, I even have a chance to break through to the immortal lord realm. What a great fortune! The old Taoist laughed loudly, his eyes filled with incomparable excitement. Looking at the dazzling immortal crystals on the mountain wall in front of him, his eyes were filled with incomparable fascination. What's the divine jade fetus? Suddenly, a curious voice sounded behind the old Taoist. Chapter 2907. The old Taoist priest's laughter came to an abrupt halt. His expression instantly became extremely unsightly. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he slowly turned around. Ling Zhao was standing behind him, unscathed. He was looking at him with a faint smile on his face. His expression was very calm. How could you escape the devouring power of the Shenhuang demon-suppressing formation? You're not an immortal. You're an immortal king? The old Taoist priest's gaze was extremely gloomy. He seemed to have thought of something and revealed a trace of shock. Only an immortal king could enter the formation boundary unimpeded. For Ling Zhao to be able to enter the formation boundary so easily, it could only mean that his cultivation must be above the immortal king level. What made the old Taoist priest even more shocked and furious was that he still could not see Ling Zhao's true cultivation. The aura that Ling Zhao revealed was still that of an immortal, but at this moment, it gave him an unfathomable feeling. Taoist priest, you haven't answered my question yet. What is the divine jade fairy fetus? Ling Zhao asked curiously. Kid, I really didn't expect that I would be wrong. You're actually an immortal king? But so what if you're an immortal king? If you dare to have any ideas about the divine jade fairy fetus, you must die. The old Taoist priest's face became somewhat distorted, and his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Boom! The uneasiness in the old Taoist priest's heart grew stronger and stronger, but the killing intent in his heart also grew stronger and stronger. He roared angrily and instantly pointed at Ling Zhao's glabella. His fingers seemed traceless, ethereal, and mysterious. Even Ling Zhao was a little surprised. He actually felt a strange power of time from that finger. It was somewhat similar to the age destruction finger. Unfortunately, this old man was not even an immortal venerable. He was only an immortal king. Bang! Ling Zhao casually stretched out a hand and directly grabbed the old Taoist priest's arm. The old Taoist priest's expression suddenly changed. He felt that Ling Xiao's hand was like an iron clamp that contained an incomparably terrifying divine power, making him unable to move at all. Moreover, an incomparably terrifying thunderbolt bloomed in Ling Xiao's palm. In an instant, it was like a divine chain of order that directly penetrated the old Taoist priest's body. The old Taoist priest's body trembled and his face was incomparably pale. The blazing thunderbolt contained a trace of the Thunder Tao's origin. It was extremely terrifying. It crackling and crackling as it rushed into the old Taoist priest's body, sealing his cultivation. Immortal venerable? The old Taoist shuddered, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. His face instantly turned extremely ugly. Is actually a immortal king. In S.A. immortal immortal. End immortal immortal end. S immortal immortal. Immortal venerable, this was definitely an immortal venerable expert. You are immortal venerable. How could you disguise yourself as an immortal? The old Taoist priest knew that he had kicked an iron plate. He complained incessantly in his heart and was full of resentment toward Ling Xiao. That's right. It's not good to fight and kill. Now, let's talk about what the divine jade fairy fetus is. Ling Xiao smiled and patted the old Taoist priest's shoulder. Who are you? Why do you want to be my enemy? The old Taoist priest stared at Ling Xiao and asked. Taoist priest, you are wrong. It's not that I want to be your enemy. It's that you have ulterior motives. You want to take my life and make me break the bounded formation for you. Isn't that right? I didn't expect that there would be such a big immortal crystal mine here. Also, who is the Xian Tian Celestial Master? What is the divine jade fairy fetus? My patience is limited. Think carefully before you answer. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He did not pay any attention to the old Taoist whose cultivation was sealed. Instead, he looked around the cave in front of him. The immortal crystals contained a vast amount of energy. There were more than 1 million immortal crystals here. However, Ling Xiao could vaguely sense that there seemed to be some kind of mysterious living being under the immortal crystals. It was absorbing the energy in the immortal crystals, and it contained an obscure and powerful aura. The Xian Tian Celestial Master was a celestial master who died tens of millions of years ago. He had founded the Xian Tian sect and wanted to join the ranks of the 9 great celestial sects. However, in the end, he offended a big shot. Not only was the Xian Tian sect destroyed, but he also died. Legend has it that after the Xian Tian Celestial Master died, a trace of his true spirit was not destroyed. He was sealed in an immortal crystal mine by a disciple of his sect. He was waiting for time to come back and recover his cultivation and strength. The divine jade fairy fetus is the Xian Tian Celestial Master's physical body that was sealed in the immortal crystal mine. After tens of millions of years of absorbing immortal spiritual chi and origin energy, the divine jade fairy fetus condensed into a divine fetus. Once the divine jade fairy fetus is completely formed, the Xian Tian Celestial Master might be able to come back to life. The old Taoist priest thought for a while. In the end, he sighed and told the truth. Then how do you know that this is the immortal crystal mine that was sealed by the Xian Tian Celestial Master? Ling Xiao asked. I once obtained a treasure map by accident. After that, I killed a descendant of the Black Heaven sect. After searching his soul, I verified it with my treasure map. In the end, I guessed that the immortal crystal mine that sealed the Xian Tian Celestial Master was in this mountain range. The old Taoist priest answered. I see. The divine jade fairy fetus is under these immortal crystals? Ling Xiao mumbled to himself. With a wave of his sleeve, a large number of immortal crystals flew into his sleeve. Ling Xiao did not hold back and kept all the immortal crystals. The old Taoist priest was heartbroken when he saw this. His eyes were about to spit fire. All of this originally belonged to him. It was Ling Xiao, the bandit, who took away everything that belonged to him. The old Taoist priest resented Ling Xiao even more. After Ling Xiao kept all the immortal crystals, he saw a stone man that was about 10 feet tall below. The stone man was glowing with immortal light and flowing with a gorgeous luster. It looked crystal clear and there seemed to be a mysterious figure in it. Ling Xiao could feel that the stone man contained a majestic aura of life. Could it be that the Xiantian celestial master really sealed himself in the immortal crystal mine and came back to life? Ling Xiao thought to himself as his heart trembled slightly. Death was an irreversible process. Even if an emperor had fallen, it was almost impossible to come back to life. However, an emperor could actually seal himself in an immortal crystal mine and come back to life? However, even if he came back thousands of years later, would he still be the same person after being reborn? Ling Xiao was getting more and more curious about the immortal realm. From the old Taoist priest's words, he knew that the Xiantian celestial master was not the only one who could do such a thing. There should be many people in the immortal realm who had done similar things. There were even people who had sealed themselves in immortal crystal mines and came back to life. In that case, was the figure in the divine jade fairy fetus the Xiantian celestial master? Chapter 2909. According to what you said, the divine jade fetus is the Xiantian immortal master? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he asked the old Taoist. I don't know. The immortal realm is vast and boundless. There are many immortal stones under the ground. The immortal stones are formed by divine Tao and immortal Tao energy. The most precious one is the immortal stone with life energy. It is also called the divine jade fetus. However, no one knows what is in the divine jade fetus. It could be the physical body of the Xiantian immortal master, or it could be some kind of plant, divine beast, or some kind of treasure. The divine jade fetus is extremely precious. If you sell it to a family of stonecutters, you can make a fortune. However, even an immortal master can't tell what is in the divine jade fetus. Only a family of stonecutters can open it and see what is inside. The old Taoist said honestly, Divine jade fetus? Divine jade fetus? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with light. From Lei Ling's memories, he found some memories of the immortal stone and the immortal jade fetus. The immortal stone was like the ancient stones he had encountered in the War God Plain. It was a kind of ancient or that had been nurtured in the depths of the earth for countless years. It was either sealed with ancient experts, or sealed with divine weapons, or even elixirs. However, Lei Ling had never played with the immortal stone, so he didn't know much about it. After the old Taoist's introduction, Ling Xiao had a better understanding of the divine jade fetus. In layman's terms, the divine jade fetus was a top-grade immortal stone. In the immortal realm, there was a saying that even immortals couldn't break an inch of jade. The divine jade fetus's outer layer contained divine Tao and immortal Tao energy. It also contained the origin of the great Tao, which blocked any probing. Even an immortal master couldn't find out what treasure was inside. Can I find out what is inside? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. He secretly used the delusion breaker God Eye. His eyes were covered with a layer of strange light as he tried to investigate the divine jade fetus. Ling Xiao could feel the mottled origin of the great path on the surface of the divine jade fairy fetus, as well as the aura of the divine path and the immortal path, which blocked his probing. Even with the delusion breaker God Eye technique, he could only vaguely sense that there was a figure within the divine jade fairy fetus, but he could not see clearly. Ling Zhao's eyes shone brightly. He used the 4 secret techniques of chaos, fate, karma, and reincarnation at the same time. The 4 origin techniques gathered in his eyes. In an instant, Ling Zhao's eyes pierced through the stone skin of the divine jade fetus, and he could clearly see what was inside. 2. The woman's eyes were slightly closed, and the aura around her was mysterious and unfathomable. She emitted a resplendent immortal light, and her skin was sparkling like jade. Her appearance was incomparably beautiful, and her black hair was like a waterfall. It was dense and glossy like satin. Xiao was. Ling Xiao could clearly see her breathing. This woman is alive? Is this the Xian Tian Celestial Lord? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. The power of sovereign in his eyes slowly dissipated, revealing a glimmer of light in his eyes. The power of sovereign was indeed terrifying. The power of sovereign could not only unleash powerful attacks, but it was even more powerful than the delusion breaker God Eye. It allowed Ling Xiao to see the situation inside the divine jade fetus. If it wasn't for the fact that Ling Xiao had gathered too little sovereign energy and could only use it as a trump card, Ling Xiao was confident that he would be able to slay even a god emperor. However, the woman inside the divine jade fetus was very strange. Even Ling Xiao could not tell her condition. She was neither dead nor alive. It was as if she had sealed herself inside. Is the Xian Tian Celestial Lord a woman? Ling Xiao asked the old Taoist. A woman? I've never heard of it. But the Xian Tian Celestial Lord should be a man. You can't see the situation inside the divine jade fetus, can you? The old Taoist asked in surprise. However, he immediately denied this thought. Even the Celestial Lord could not see through the divine jade fetus. Ling Xiao looked like a mere celestial prime. Naturally, he could not see through the divine jade fetus. I'm just asking. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said non-committally. Buzz. Ling Xiao waved his sleeve, and the divine jade immortal fetus was immediately put away by him. As the divine jade immortal fetus was absorbed into Ling Xiao's bag, the array formation outside actually trembled slightly and finally dissipated. That formation actually existed with the existence of the divine jade immortal fetus. Now, you can give me a reason not to kill you. Ling Xiao looked at the old Taoist and said with a faint smile. The old Taoist felt his scalp tingle under Ling Xiao's sharp gaze. He hurriedly said to Ling Xiao, My lord, if I'm not wrong, you must have just come out of seclusion, right? I know a lot of secrets about the immortal realm, and I've traveled through the dozens of prefectures in the surrounding area. I'm willing to be your guide and be at your beck and call. After sensing Ling Zhao's terrifying strength, he did not have the slightest intention of resisting. He only wanted to escape from Ling Zhao's hands. Not enough. Ling Xiao said flatly. My lord, as long as you don't kill me, I have a secret to tell you. The old Taoist gritted his teeth and said, Speak. Ling Xiao said, My lord, a peerless divine jade fetus has appeared in the immortal ancient city. It will be officially auctioned in 3 days' time. There might be an extreme Dao monarch weapon in the divine jade fairy fetus. The old Taoist said seriously. Extreme Dao emperor weapon? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He did not bring the 4 extreme Dao emperor weapons with him when he came to the immortal realm to prevent his identity from being exposed. However, if he could obtain an extreme Dao emperor weapon in the immortal realm, it would definitely increase his strength greatly. There were many experts in the immortal realm. There were even immortal emperors who were still alive. Ling Xiao had to be careful. How did you know about this? Ling Xiao asked the old Taoist. My lord, it's because I sold the divine jade fetus to the stone-cutting family in the immortal ancient city. Moreover, the extreme Dao emperor weapon might be the profound heaven celestial lord's personal sword. The old Taoist smiled bitterly. His face was filled with regret and bitterness. Oh! Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He felt that the old Taoist was not simple. I obtained the divine jade fetus from the descendant of the Black Heaven sect. At that time, I didn't know what was in it. Therefore, I sold it easily. However, I found many clues from the treasure map and found some clues in a forbidden place in the Black Heaven sect. Therefore, I guessed that the divine jade fetus might be the profound heaven celestial lord's personal sword, the Black Heaven sword. The old Taoist smiled bitterly. Chapter 29:10. When he found out about this, he was filled with regret. Unfortunately, the stone-cutting families in immortal ancient city were all sly and cunning. They didn't want to sell it to him. Instead, they treated it as a supreme treasure that would be auctioned in 3 days. Do the stone-cutting families know the connection between the immortal jade fetus and the immortal master? Ling Xiao said slowly. I guarantee that they don't know. However, the stone-cutting families have been immersed in the immortal stone for a long time. Although they can't see what's inside, they must know that the treasure inside is extraordinary. That's why they refuse to sell it to me. However, my lord, you've got the immortal jade fetus that seems to contain the immortal master. If you can get the immortal jade fetus and get the immortal master's sword, you might be able to get all the immortal master's inheritance. It's a great fortune for you. The old man said with a hint of encouragement in his voice. Very well. Your life is saved. Now, please hand over your primordial spirit and serve me as your master. Ling Xiao said lightly. Although the old man's face was full of unwillingness, he could only smile bitterly and hand over his primordial spirit. Buzz. The old man's primordial spirit was a purple rat. It looked as if it could devour the heavens and the earth. Its whole body emitted immortal light and looked ancient and mysterious. It's the ancient divine beast, the heaven-devouring rat? Ling Zhao's eyes showed a hint of surprise when he recognized the old man's original body. The heaven-devouring rat was an ancient divine beast. According to legend, it could devour the heavens and the earth. It loved to devour heavenly treasures and was extremely sensitive to all kinds of heavenly treasures. It was also called the treasure-seeking rat. The heaven-devouring rat was extinct in the immortal world and the demon world. Ling Xiao didn't expect to see one in the immortal world. The old man's name was Heaven-Devouring Taoist. After merging with the heaven-devouring rat's primordial spirit, its life was in Ling Xiao's hands. Although the old man was a little dejected, he could only accept his fate. Heaven-Devouring Taoist greets my master. The heaven-devouring rat said weakly. Very well. Now, bring me to the immortal ancient city. Ling Xiao said lightly. He came to the immortal realm this time to find out the truth of the immortal realm and see if he could get some opportunities and fortunes. The immortal ancient city was the core of this prefecture, so he would definitely be able to find out a lot of information. As for the divine jade immortal fetus that the heaven-devouring rat spoke of, it just so happened to be on the way to take a look. Yes, master. The heaven-devouring rat followed Ling Xiao out of the mountain. Rumble. Outside the belly of the mountain, the gorilla, the brown bear, and the elephant were all standing there obediently. They looked at the heaven-devouring rat and waited for his orders. The heaven-devouring rat took out a silver-white bracelet. In an instant, it emitted a bright radiance. The three ferocious beasts roared, after which, they turned into a ray of light and flew into the bracelet, leaving three lifelike imprints on it. This is the beast-taming hoop, a treasure I obtained from the ancient ruins. Later on, I subdued Big Idiot, 2 Idiot, and 3 Idiot and commanded them to work for me. The heaven-devouring rat explained to Ling Xiao. You can keep it for yourself. Ling Xiao said lightly. He had no intention of taking the beast-taming hoop away, which made the heaven-devouring rat heave a sigh of relief. However, Ling Xiao was slightly moved. The heaven-devouring rat was indeed worthy of being called a treasure-seeking rat. He had a lot of treasures on him. Rumble. At this moment, in the distant void, a blazing immortal light bloomed. More than a dozen figures with powerful auras swept across the sky. They were extremely fast and arrived in front of Ling Xiao and the heaven-devouring rat in an instant. They looked down at the two of them with indifferent expressions. Stone-cutting aristocratic family? The heaven-devouring rat's expression changed slightly. Heaven-devouring Taoist, you're really here. Have you found the divine jade immortal fetus of the profound heaven immortal lord? Hand over the divine jade immortal fetus, and I can spare your life. The leader was a middle-aged man in a purple robe. His aura was extremely powerful and dignified. He looked indifferent as he spoke to the heaven-devouring Taoist. His cultivation base was at the immortal venerable realm. The dozen people beside him were all immortal king experts. They were all wearing black armors and emitting a baleful aura. Their eyes were cold and indifferent. They vaguely surrounded Ling Xiao and the heaven-devouring rat. They didn't come with good intentions. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't help but look at the heaven-devouring rat. How did these people know about the profound heaven immortal lord and the divine jade immortal fetus? What divine jade immortal fetus? I don't know. Immortal Venerable Shurgang, what are you doing? The heaven-devouring rat's expression changed slightly. He had just vowed to Ling Xiao that the stone-cutting aristocratic family didn't know about the divine jade immortal fetus. He didn't expect the stone-cutting aristocratic family to come here directly. Moreover, it was Immortal Venerable Shurgang who came here personally. This slap in the face came too quickly. Although the heaven-devouring rat was a little nervous, he felt a little more confident when he saw Ling Xiao's calm expression. His master was an immortal venerable expert after all. Immortal Venerable Shurgang wanted to capture him, the heaven-devouring Taoist, with just these people? Heaven-devouring Taoist, are you still going to play dumb? You have already sold us a divine jade immortal fetus related to the profound heaven immortal lord. It's all thanks to you. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have found the clues of the profound heaven immortal lord so easily. Now, I'll give you a chance to live. Hand over the divine jade immortal fetus of the profound heaven immortal lord, then reveal your true form and acknowledge me as your master. Then I'll spare your dog life. I don't want to repeat myself, so make your choice. Immortal Venerable Shurgang said indifferently. As for Ling Xiao, who was beside the heaven-devouring rat, he didn't even put him in his eyes. After Ling Xiao restrained his aura, he looked just like an immortal. Naturally, he didn't have any sense of existence. A trace of anger flashed in the heaven-devouring rat's eyes. His heart seemed to be burning with anger. He didn't expect that the stone-cutting aristocratic family had already set their sights on the profound heaven immortal lord. The heaven-devouring rat's actions were under the surveillance of the stone-cutting aristocratic family. Today, even if Ling Xiao wasn't here, he would still fall into the hands of the stone-cutting aristocratic family. Just as the heaven-devouring rat was about to say something, Ling Xiao stood out and said indifferently, "Unfortunately, the heaven-devouring rat already has a master." A master? Who is it? I killed his master, so am I not his master now? Don't tell me it's you? Shurgang sneered. His eyes fell on Ling Xiao with a condescending look, as if he was looking at an ant. Ha! Shurgang said with a sneer. That's right, I'm the master of the heaven-devouring rat. Ling Xiao said seriously. Chapter 29:11. Pa, what a joke. Where did this reckless thing come from? How dare you mock me here? Shursan, kill him for me. Venerable Shurgang laughed. His eyes instantly became extremely cold, and a trace of cold killing intent spread out from his eyes. Yes. Beside Shurgang, a young man in black armor walked out, holding a black spear. His aura was incomparably cold. His eyes fell on Ling Xiao, revealing a trace of cruelty. Boom! The black spear instantly pierced through the void with extreme speed, directly piercing towards Ling Xiao's glabella. This spear was like a meteor, distorting the void. The 7 kill guards of the stone-cutting family? Master, be careful. The expression of devouring rat changed slightly. That spear made him feel a great threat, but he still gritted his teeth and prepared to block in front of Ling Xiao. Let me do it. Ling Xiao said indifferently, stopping devouring rat. The spear light was as fast as lightning, reaching Ling Xiao's glabella in an instant. However, Ling Xiao only stretched out 2 jade-like fingers. Buzz. The spear buzzed and trembled. It was actually caught by Ling Xiao's 2 fingers, unable to move an inch further. What? The expression of the expert of the 7 kill guards and Shurgang changed slightly. Boom. Ling Xiao's 2 fingers trembled slightly. In an instant, an unparalleled divine force erupted, causing the expert of the 7 kill guards to tremble violently. His arm instantly lost all feeling. Ling Xiao waved his hand casually, and the black spear seemed to be unable to withstand such a terrifying force. It shattered with a loud bang. Then, the fragments of the spear enveloped the expert of the 7 kill guards like a storm. Not good. The expert of the 7 kill guards' expression changed drastically. He instantly wanted to retreat. The spear fragment speed was extremely fast, and it was imbued with unparalleled divine power. In an instant, it pierced through his body, turning him into a sieve, and then directly exploded in the void. Boom! Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Even his primordial spirit didn't have time to escape and was instantly destroyed. A celestial king expert had fallen. Damn it. For you. Shurgang's face instantly turned ugly. His eyes were incomparably gloomy as he stared at Ling Xiao. Although Ling Xiao's attack looked light, it was as fast as lightning. With a clench and a fling, he easily killed an immortal king expert. Even senior immortal Shurgang didn't have time to make a move. This brat was clearly pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. He was actually an immortal venerable expert. You keep saying that you want the heaven-devouring rat to recognize you as its master, and you still ask me who I am? Of course I am the master of the heaven-devouring rat, and you are... Do you want to die? Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his expression extremely calm. Killing a 7-kill guard was like crushing an ant to him. He didn't care about it at all. Ling Xiao did not feel the slightest bit of guilt for slaughtering the powerful beings of the immortal race, let alone the fact that they had offended him. In any case, he would just take it as getting rid of some scourges for the human race. Brat, I don't care who you are. How dare you kill the 7-kill guards of my family? Even if you are a disciple of the 9 great immortal sects, you still deserve to die. Shurgang's face was incomparably cold, and his eyes were filled with incomparably gloomy killing intent. Master, the Jie family and the Shur family of the family are the top families. When the 2 families join forces, they are not weaker than the 9 great immortal sections. They control all the business of the immortal stones and obtain a huge amount of resources. There are endless experts in the family. For example, the 7-kill guards have a total of 1,000 immortal kings. The heaven-devouring rat transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao and introduced the situation of the family. They are not weaker than the 9 great immortal sects? No wonder they are so arrogant. If I kill them all, do you think there will be immortal monarchs coming to kill us? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Sensing the killing intent in Ling Xiao's words, the heaven-devouring rat couldn't help but tremble in his heart, but he still gritted his teeth and said, Master, the people of the family are used to being arrogant and domineering. They are tyrannical in the surrounding dozens of prefectures and monopolize all the business of the immortal stones. If you kill them, we can just leave here and go to other prefectures. I see. No wonder they are so arrogant and overbearing, asking for the immortal jade fetus and asking you to kneel down and acknowledge them as your master. Today, let me teach them how to behave. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Set up the 7-kill immortal formation. Kill. Shurgang shouted violently. Blazing immortal light bloomed around his body, and a purple saber appeared in his hand. An incomparably fierce saber intent surged out, and the purple saber slashed down towards Ling Xiao in an instant. Kill. 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 7 thunder-like kill words burst out one after another. The remaining dozen or so cultivators of the 7-kill guards came over in an instant, flashing around Ling Xiao. Their bodies merged with the great path, and divine chains of order appeared one after another, setting up an incomparably powerful battle matrix. Their killing intent rose, and their aura was terrifying to the extreme. Although Shurgang looked overbearing and arrogant, he was incomparably cautious when he attacked. When Ling Xiao killed one of the 7-kill guards, he could see how powerful Ling Xiao was. Therefore, not only did he take out his weapon, but he also set up the 7-kill immortal formation. The 7-kill immortal formation set up by the dozen immortal kings actually erupted with a power comparable to an immortal venerable, pressing down on Ling Xiao majestically. Master, it's the 7-kill immortal formation. Devouring Rat's heart skipped a beat, and he said worriedly. The power of the 7-kill immortal formation was so terrifying that it made him tremble with fear. He doubted whether Ling Xiao could defeat Shurgang and the 7-kill guards. It doesn't matter. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and took a step forward, stepping directly into the 7-kill immortal formation. Asterisk Hong Long Long. Asterisk facing the purple saber of Shurgang and the terrifying divine light that intertwined around him, Ling Xiao only threw out a simple punch. Gotcha! Ling Xiao's fist bloomed with purple rays of light. In an instant, the lightning blazed, the heavenly punishment surged, and the mighty heavenly might erupted. The 9 layers of purple heaven thunder suddenly erupted. This was the 9 layers of purple heaven art that Lei Ling cultivated. Ling Xiao activated it with the heavenly punishment secret technique. Coupled with his monstrous physique, it instantly erupted with the power of the complete realm. Kong. Venerable Shurgang's purple saber looked quite extraordinary. It looked like an ancient immortal weapon, but after being hit by Ling Xiao's punch, it trembled violently. The saber light that filled the sky exploded with a loud bang. Unparalleled divine force directly poured into Shurgang's body. Shurgang's expression changed drastically. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He spurted out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying away with his saber. Bang. Star. Chapter 29:12. Rumble. An incomparably ferocious fist print erupted, and a vast purple chi gushed out from Ling Xiao's body like a sea of lightning, blooming with vast heavenly might. The 7 killing immortals formation, which originally seemed to be overflowing with murderous intent, trembled violently and finally exploded with a loud bang. More than a dozen 7 killing guards vomited blood one after another, and each of them flew out like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. Ling Xiao was extremely fast. Like a violet bolt of lightning, he pointed at the air and shot out over a dozen streaks of light in the blink of an eye. They directly pierced the foreheads of the 7 kills and destroyed their souls. The souls of the 7 killing guards were completely scattered. Venerable Shurgang's eyes were filled with incomparable horror, but before he could do anything, Ling Xiao appeared in front of him, grabbed his neck with one hand, and lifted him up. Rumble. Purple lightning crackled and enveloped Venerable Shurgang like divine chains of order, completely sealing his cultivation base. How do you want to die? Ling Xiao smiled slightly at Venerable Shurgang. However, in the eyes of Venerable Shurgang, his smile was simply like a demon, causing him to tremble all over. His face instantly turned ashen, and an incomparable look of despair appeared on his face. They were both immortal venerables, so how could Ling Xiao be so strong? Venerable Shurgang couldn't figure it out at all. However, the only thing he understood was that he had kicked an iron plate today. Let me go, and I promise that the Shur family won't find trouble with you. But if you kill me, even if you escape to the ends of the earth, you won't be able to escape the pursuit of my Shur family. Although you're strong, can you escape the pursuit of an immortal monarch? Although Venerable Shurgang was extremely angry, he calmed down at this moment and looked at Ling Xiao seriously. You still dare to threaten me when you're about to die? Immortal monarch? It's not like I haven't killed one before. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Master, the Shur family is very powerful, and Venerable Shurgang is an elder of the Shur family. The death of a few 7 killing guards won't have much impact, but if Venerable Shurgang dies, the Shur family will definitely send immortal monarchs to investigate. Why don't we imprison Shurgang now and don't kill him first? Heaven-devouring rat transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. All right. Ling Xiao nodded. He was preparing to head to the immortal ancient city. If he killed Shurgang, the Shur family would be alerted. Ling Xiao did not care about Shurgang's threat. He immediately sealed Shurgang's cultivation and imprisoned him in the small world within his body. Boom! With a thought, a ball of sky-devouring fire appeared in Ling Xiao's palm. It emitted a dazzling 9-colored celestial light like a 9-colored celestial lotus fire. It instantly enveloped the area within 100 miles. The corpses of the 7 kill guards were instantly reduced to ashes. Let's go! Ling Xiao smiled faintly. If the Shur clan sensed the aura of the 9-colored immortal lotus fire, their expressions would definitely be very interesting, right? Although Ling Xiao did not know the identity of the Celestial Highness, He was sure that the Celestial Highness had an extremely high status in the celestial world. It was a good opportunity to let them fight each other. "Master, where are we going?" the heaven-devouring rat asked ingratiatingly. His respect for Ling Xiao grew. Ling Xiao's strength was so strong that it shocked him greatly. He secretly guessed Ling Xiao's identity. Could it be an expert from the 9 great immortal sects? Immortal ancient city. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Immortal ancient city? Master, aren't we walking right into a trap? If the Shi clan knows that we killed the 7 kill guards, they won't let us go. The heaven-devouring rat exclaimed with a bitter look on his face. The Shi clan's strength was unfathomable. The immortal ancient city was their base camp. Who knew how many immortal monarchs were guarding it? They were simply walking right into a trap. What do you know? The most dangerous place is also the safest place. Don't worry, if the Shi clan dares to attack us, we'll turn the immortal ancient city upside down. Ling Xiao sneered. The rat cried bitterly in his heart, but he had no choice since he had such an audacious master. He could only follow Ling Xiao nervously in the direction of the immortal ancient city. The 7 kill guards who followed Elder Shi Gang to hunt down Shitian Daoist are all dead. In the immortal ancient city, an expert from the Shi clan said slowly. His eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Who dares to attack the 7 kill guards of the Shi clan? You're courting death. Did Elder Shi Gang go after Shitian Daoist? Let the experts in the clan take action. As long as we catch Shitian Daoist, we'll be able to find the culprit. Shitian Daoist definitely doesn't have the guts or the strength to do so. Is it the Xie clan? How dare you attack the Shi clan? You deserve to die. Investigate. We must find the culprit. In the Shi clan, several powerful divine thoughts intertwined with each other, containing an incomparably terrifying aura. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Soon, several powerful figures swept across the sky and flew out of the immortal ancient city. The people in the immortal ancient city were discussing and guessing what had happened to the Shi clan. Master, that's the immortal ancient city. Ling Xiao and the heaven-devouring rat stood in the air and looked at the city in the sky in the distance. Their eyes were filled with amazement. In front of them, it was as if a huge sacred mountain had been cut in half. The immortal ancient city was built in the clouds tens of thousands of feet above. It was like a dormant primordial beast, exuding an ancient and boundless aura. The immortal ancient city towered into the clouds, surrounded by clouds and mist. It was shrouded in celestial light and mysterious laws. From afar, it looked like a palace of the celestial emperor. It was not that Ling Xiao had never seen a city as majestic as the immortal ancient city. However, the immortal ancient city exuded a unique aura. It was an ancient fluctuation that had experienced the vicissitudes of time, as if it had experienced countless years of immortality. This was an extremely ancient city, even more ancient than any city Ling Xiao had ever seen. Immortal ancient city? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of light as he softly muttered to himself. At this moment, he had already restrained his aura. He still looked like an immortal and was not eye-catching at all. The heaven-devouring rat had also changed his appearance. He had turned into an old man in a black robe. His face was full of wrinkles and his appearance was old. He followed behind Ling Xiao like an old servant. Originally, Ling Xiao planned to hide the heaven-devouring rat's aura, but he did not expect this guy to have such a superb transformation technique. Not only did his appearance change, but even his aura had changed. The heaven-devouring rat was also afraid that the Shi clan would cause trouble for him, so he changed his appearance. This was good. It could save him a lot of trouble. Let's enter the city. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and flew towards the immortal ancient city. End of chapter. Chapter 29:13. There are 2 big families in the immortal ancient city, the Jie family and the Shi family. They have stone-cutting skills, and only they can cut the immortal stones intact. Therefore, they monopolize the stone-cutting business in the surrounding dozens of prefectures. In the immortal ancient city, There are thousands of large and small stone workshops and stone pavilions. However, each of them has a share of the Jie family and the Shi family, and there are also stone-cutting masters from these two families. The Jie family is more low-key, while the Shi family is more overbearing. However, the strength of these two families is extremely powerful and unfathomable. Relying on the stone-cutting business, they have found countless ancient treasures in the immortal stones and obtained many powerful resources. These two families have vaguely shown signs of catching up with the 9 major immortal sects. The immortal ancient city is also the center of the surrounding dozens of prefectures. Every day, many big shots in the immortal realm choose to come to the immortal ancient city to gamble on stones. Master, the immortal jade fetus I sold to the Shi family already knows that it is related to the Xian Tian immortal master. I am afraid that they will not auction it. This time, we are likely to return empty-handed. The rat of heaven devouring followed Ling Xiao into the immortal ancient city, and at the same time, introduced the situation to Ling Xiao. Return empty-handed? Not necessarily. Ling Xiao said with a smile. After passing through the hundreds of feet-high city gate of the immortal ancient city, and at the same time, passing through the immortal ancient city's city defense immortal boundary, they finally entered the inner part of the city. As soon as they entered the immortal ancient city, Ling Xiao felt as if he had entered a mortal city. In front of him was an incomparably lively scene. On both sides of the wide street, there were all kinds of immortal stones. The stall owners and hawkers were shouting with all their might. The immortal stones of Tianyuan Mountain once contained supreme-grade immortal medicine. Now they are selling at a discount. You only need 10 immortal crystals to exchange for 1 immortal stone. Come and see, the immortal stones of the Longhu mine will definitely contain immortal iron and divine gold. 30 immortal crystals for 1. The immortal jade fetus personally collected by the Chongyang immortal master. There is only 1 piece. Come and see, only 1,000 immortal crystals. Half of the immortal stone has already revealed the fragrance of the immortal medicine. Only 200 immortal crystals. Ling Xiao could see that the surrounding stall owners and peddlers did not have high cultivations. Most of them were immortals or great immortals. There were even cultivators who had yet to become immortals. The stall was filled with all kinds of strangely shaped immortal stones. They were surrounded by immortal light and looked quite strange. However, it was hard to tell whether they were real or fake. Master, in the entire immortal ancient city, other than the 2 huge palaces in the depths, which are the territories of the Jie family and the Shi family, there are also stone shops, restaurants, and inns. The celestial stones sold by these small stalls are all of inferior quality. Most of them are used to swindle those who don't know the trade. If you are interested, I know a few good gem shops. We can go and have a look. Seeing that Ling Xiao seemed to be interested in those small stalls, the sky-devouring rat hurriedly said eagerly. The charm of the immortal stone lay in the fact that no one knew what was inside. Only by cutting the stone could one see if there was any treasure inside. Therefore, there was a saying that 1 blade could reach heaven and 1 blade could reach hell. The big shots in the immortal world, especially the young supreme talents, were very interested in it. They did not hesitate to spend a lot of money to gamble on the stone in the immortal ancient city. Of course, there were people who obtained treasures from the immortal stone, which caused a sensation in the city. However, most of them lost their money. Relying on the popularity of the immortal stone business, the Jie family and the Shi family made a lot of money. It's okay. Let me take a look first. A gleam of light flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes. He walked towards a stall and picked up an immortal rock. The stall owner was an elder with a goatee. His eyes darted around, making him look like a thief. When he saw a customer enter, his eyes lit up as he grinned, revealing a mouthful of yellow teeth. Esteemed customer, you have good eyesight. This is an old mine in the God Burial Abyss. You know about the God Burial Abyss, right? That is where the Shi family made their fortune. The immortal stone that the Shi family dug out from the God Burial Abyss was used to unlock the ancient Emperor Sutra and the Supreme Emperor weapon. It established the Shi family's foundation. If you are interested in this immortal stone, I will reluctantly part with it. I will only charge you 1,000, 10,000 immortal crystals. God Burial Abyss? You really dare to say that? The God Burial Abyss is a forbidden area. Although there are immortal stones there, the Sher family had a slim chance of survival when they obtained some back then. With your immortal cultivation, you dare to go to the God Burial Abyss to mine? Ling Xiao did not speak. The heaven-devouring rat could not help but laugh coldly. Hee, although the God Burial Abyss is a forbidden area and my cultivation is not strong, I can still pick up a few pieces of immortal stones in the periphery, right? This is something that I brought back after a narrow escape. It is definitely an immortal stone from the God Burial Abyss. The old man with the goatee was not angry. Instead, he chuckled. Ling Xiao ignored him. He held the immortal stone in his hand and closed his eyes. Just now, the God clan mark in Ling Xiao's primordial spirit trembled. And the source was this immortal stone. This immortal stone looked black and it emitted a sparkling immortal light. There were cracks on it and it looked very ordinary. There was nothing special about it. However, to be able to make the God clan mark tremble, Ling Xiao still thought highly of it. He had obtained the God clan mark from the chaotic ancient land. Legend had it that it contained the destiny of the God clan. However, after Ling Xiao left the chaotic ancient land, the God clan mark had become completely silent. When Ling Xiao held the immortal stone, the God clan mark trembled even more intensely. It was as if there was something in this immortal stone that the God clan mark yearned for. Buzz. Ling Xiao opened his slightly closed eyes and a strange light shot out. The power of the sovereign lingered in his eyes, allowing him to see through this immortal stone in an instant. Inside the immortal stone, there was a broken ceramic piece that emitted an aura similar to the God clan mark. Is the source of this ceramic piece? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He touched the other immortal stones on the stall and realized that the other immortal stones did not cause the God clan mark to react. Only this immortal stone with a ceramic piece caused the God clan mark to tremble. I want this immortal stone. 500 immortal crystals. Ling Xiao looked at the old man with the goatee and said indifferently, 500 immortal crystals? No way. This is an old mine in the God Burial Abyss. 10,000 immortal crystals is already considered cheap. How about this? Since we are fated to meet today, I'll give you a discount. I'll sell it to you for 5,000 immortal crystals. The old man with the goatee said with a smile. 500 immortal crystals. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Young man, why are you so stubborn? This is an old mine in the God Burial Abyss. I risked my life to bring it back. I'm afraid of you. Take away 2,000 immortal crystals. The old man with the goatee said incessantly. 500 immortal crystals. The old man with the goatee spat. When it came to the price, he became extremely shrewd. However, when he saw that Ling Xiao was still willing to pay 500 immortal crystals, the old man with the goatee could only agree with a pained expression. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.